Hey y'all, this is just a precursor clip to the video you're about to watch. Y'all, it's just a video documenting more gang stalking activity that's taken place recently. And just again, redundantly defending myself and hopefully closing the chapter on two targeting sensitizations that have been used this whole year on me. So I just go into detail about the recent gang stalking, my feelings on both situations, and hopefully just clearing the air and reaching to some sort of resolution as it pertains to those two main forms of gang stalking that they've used on me. And you'll hear what I'm talking about when you listen to the video. I'm talking about the ongoing, or let me not say ongoing, what was an ongoing, I'm hoping it's going to stop now, what was an ongoing situation with this personal trainer in my gym. And then also the sensitization that was created from some mental, psychological things that happened with a coworker of mine, a female coworker of mine at the correction officer job I was working. I believe a lot of it was technological. I do think some of it is genuine, but I think a lot of it also is technological. I think it's MK Ultra taking place. But anyway, so listen to the video, y'all. Check it out. Thank you for tuning in. This is just a precursor. I just want to tell you what to expect, what's coming up. And then also, I wanted to make some corrections real quick. So when you listen to the video, y'all, there is a part where I go off on a relative tangent and talk about my fasting schedule because I am intermittent fasting now, y'all. So I have a window where I allow myself to eat from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then for the remainder of the day and night, I fast. I don't eat. I'm doing intermittent fasting, and there are a lot of health benefits to doing that. So if you're targeted, or even if you're not, I would advise you to look into that lifestyle. It's a really healthy lifestyle to live, y'all. So I would recommend it. But there's a part in the video where I talk about, the process of intermittent fasting and what's taking place. And I said, and eat away adipose tissues, which are fat. I said, and eat away adipose tissues, which is fat cells. And I meant to say are. So just grammatical stuff, y'all. I always feel the need to go back in, and I don't do this all the time. I used to do this where I would come before the video and, do grammatical, correct my grammatical errors, or I would put it in the comment section. I don't do that these days, but as I was listening through, I heard a lot. I was tired, y'all, as usual, brain fog, etc. And so I just wanted to correct a few of the grammatical errors that I heard. Also, now that I'm talking about the adipose tissue and fasting, they tried to do this funny tactic yesterday where they sent me this video, right, of this guy that was giving the scientific breakdown of intermittent fasting. So he was showing a diagram of what's happening at the cellular level, and he was using scientific jargon. So they acted like that was doing something to me. It complimented me because it was obvious they were trying to make me look a certain kind of way because I just give the basic info about intermittent fasting. I actually go pretty well into detail. Excuse me, using poor grammar again, yeah. I just heard the bird going off while I was talking about this. But I do go in depth when I talk about intermittent fasting. But no, I'm not pulling out diagrams and showing you what's happening at a cellular level. I don't need to. I tell you the basic info that you need. The way this guy was breaking it down, it's one of those videos where you might say, can you tell me in layman's terms what's going on? Right? But I understood what he was saying because I'm into this type of stuff. But it was scientific jargon that he was using and a diagram to show you what's happening at the cellular level. But it wasn't any different than anything that I've said. I just haven't pulled out diagrams and I'm not using a bunch of fancy scientific jargon. So what? So I just thought that was hilarious. Anyway, y'all, it made me feel big that the need to do that, right? But I don't want to sound pig-headed or conceited or whatever, because this is why they do what they do. They think I'm some sort of know-it-all or some sort of pighead or whatever, and it's not the case. I'm just sharing the stuff that I'm into and whatever. Anyway, so you're gonna hear me talking about that briefly, though, the intermittent fasting. It has everything to do with the video and some gang stalking that took place, but like I said, it is a tangent because I do then start talking briefly about intermittent fasting and what's taking place in the body when you intermittent fast. There's another part of the video where I talk about the brain fog, y'all, that I've suffered with due to DEWs, direct energy weapons, right? Acronym for direct energy weapons, DEW, direct energy weapons. I talk about the brain fog that I've been experiencing since being hit with these DEWs for the last 3 years off and on. And I even showed you all a picture of the long-term effects of being hit with these energy weapons. And so while I'm showing you guys the diagram, there's a part in not diagram, but like the picture, there's a part, a caption that they have where they said diffuse, and I think they meant to say diffused. So I just wanted to correct that for them. And then also another thing that I said that was poor grammar. When I was talking about the brain fog, I said it would almost emulate someone with a speech impediment. When what I meant to say was it emulates someone with a speech impediment, not that it would almost emulate. It's just terrible grammar, man. When y'all listen to my videos, I'm sure you hear it. I mean, this is not English class. I've heard many videos with poor grammar, etc. But the fact that I was an English teacher, a former English teacher, that's why I'm so hard on myself. And then they purposely to antagonize me, sensitizing things, because they know I'm anal and I'm like critical about the way that I speak. So I wanted to correct that. Another thing is when I'm talking about the gym guy, right? The trainer. And I just briefly reference what I've talked about in the past, what took place with his friends and his new girlfriend in the back room. I said his friends insulted me in the back room of the gym and was comparing me to her via direct-to-convo. When I say to her, I'm talking about his girlfriend. I meant to say and were comparing me, not and was comparing me. So again, just poor grammar. And the last correction, target and everyone's eyes are on me, not is. There's a part somewhere in the video where I said I'm a target and everyone's eyes is on me. I meant to say are on me. So poor grammar again, y'all. Just please excuse it. I'm sure there are more errors that I missed, right? In all of these videos, I always say this, please excuse me. It's hard. You know, I'm dealing with brain fog. I have ADD. I have cameras on me and everyone on island, the whole 45,000, you know, the whole population has access to the cameras that are on me. So it leads to stammering. It leads to me speaking with what sounds like a speech impediment and rambling and sometimes even going off on tangents. But this video was good, y'all. This one was well put together. I didn't go off on too many tangents, and although there were grammatical errors, there weren't too many. So this one was a better one, but I still wanted to do this precursor video. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new to the channel, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links. Links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the targeted individual program, information about the tactics used on targets, info about the technology used on targets, and info about the program in general. Y'all, this is not going to be a long one. It's kind of like a documentation video, but then also, I don't know, I'm trying to say whatever it is that they want me to say, the program, to make them stop doing. I mean, first of all, actually, I would like them to let me go. That's the main goal, is to get out of the program. But for now, until I figure out how to do that, because I don't know what they want from me, I at least want certain elements of the targeting to stop. New things that have like tagged on within the year that I'm completely tired of. It's just going on and on and on and on, and I don't see any end in sight. So what I'm trying to do here in this video is document y'all some activity that took place today that pertains to the same redundant topic I've been talking about for months now. The gang stalking at the gym that's been taking place for the whole year since an incident occurred at the end of last year between one of the personal trainers and myself. Okay? It's just been a year full of gang stalking, and then to add what do I want to say, seasoning to the pot. Then there's the element of this thing that happened with this coworker or former coworker of mine at the correction officer job I used to work. So I want to briefly talk about that too, because I want all of those elements of the targeting to now cease. And that situation, that one was completely, it's hard to explain it. It was my fault, but it wasn't. It was my fault, but I believe it's technological. But there wasn't anything done on her part. So it's not like I'm trying to, you know what, I just want that part of the targeting, all of it to cease now. I want the targeting to cease. I want them to let me out of the targeting. But until they decide to do that, again, I don't know what they want from me to facilitate the process of them letting me out of the program. Nonetheless, I'm just trying to at least make certain elements of the targeting stop, because it's just too much, man. I'm like completely exhausted with certain components of the targeting that's been taking place recently. And when I say recently, y'all, again, I mean the whole year. Y'all have seen my recent videos. It's been talking about the gym gang stalking, whatever you want to call it. Finanza, whatever, I don't know what the hell to call the damn thing. Okay, anyway, so this is more documentation about that thing though, y'all. So in prior recent videos, I told you all, first of all, don't start here. If you're new to the channel, don't start here. You're going to be lost. What you need to do again is check out the links in the description box and comment section. And in those locations, you'll find an identical set of links. The very first link you'll see is a link to my PayPal. If you have it and you can help me, sure, thank you. If you don't, I completely understand. I'm sure you're likely going through what I'm going through, where you're targeted and you're struggling and trying to make ends meet. So if you don't have it, I completely understand. If you do have it and you can spare a little something, I would not mind. This is the lowest I've ever been. I actually just recently got unemployment though, y'all. I've been hopping through hoops and doing everything that I need to do to make sure I have some sort of financial security, I guess. It's not really, I use the word security loosely, but I'm trying to support myself. And so I've been doing everything I need to do to make sure I have money in my pocket. Anyway, so that's the first link you'll see though, a link to my PayPal. Then you'll see a set of links that link to videos where I tell my story. There are about 4 to 5 different videos, y'all. Somebody's yelling outside, y'all. I don't know why she's talking so loud. There are like 4 to 5 videos, y'all, where I told my story of what started my targeting. So you can choose any one of those videos. There's an 11-hour, 7-part video compilation where I sat on camera at different times wearing the same outfit because I wanted it to be uniform for uniformity purposes. Anyway, I told my whole life story. So I even talked about incidents that preceded the targeting, but the incidents were relative and they directly correlate with some of the things that took place in the targeting. So if you have the time, it's not meant to be watched in one sitting, obviously, unless you have hours and hours to dedicate to watching my video. If you do, I appreciate it. It's interesting content, I subjectively say, but if you have the time to sit there for hours and hours and watch it, sure. I mean, as a target, you might have the time. Most of us are unemployed and or struggling. So if you have the time, please check it out. But it's not meant to be watched in one sitting. You can watch it in bits and pieces. So there's that video where I'm on camera and I tell my whole life story and what started my targeting. And then there are other videos that you can choose from. There are summary options. There's a video where I did like a screen recording of the part in the 11-hour video compilation where I just straight up told you what started the targeting. So I fast forwarded past the story of my life, right? And I got straight to that part of the video where I talk about what started my targeting. And I did a screen recording of that part and I did a commentary over it, just expounding on some things that I felt like I left out of the video. You could check that video out, or you could check out the summary video. Like I said, there's a summary video And there's like 2 other videos that are basically summaries. So whichever one you want to choose from, y'all. Just listen to my story is all I'm saying, so you can be familiar with some of the things that I'm talking about. And it won't sound like foreign info to you. Because I do mention or reference things from my story, things that I just expect you to know about. Like when I, for instance, say the cyber stalking, cyberbullying dude. You're not going to know what I'm talking about unless you've heard my story. There's an incident that occurred with this guy that I talked to for a couple years ago, y'all. Over a decade ago. When I was in my early 20s, I'm in my early 30s now. And because of something that happened between him and I, however the interaction, the relation, whatever you want to call it, however it ended, for years I suffered because of that thing. And it's tied into the targeting, and some of the gang stalking things I deal with correlates with that situation. So it's a long story, y'all. It's a complicated story. And again, if you want to be familiar with everything that I'm talking about, I would recommend that you listen to one of my videos. I recommend, not I would. I recommend that you listen to one of those videos and hear my story. Anyway, once you do that, y'all, and you hear the story, just check out my videos, man. I share a lot of info about the Targeted Individual program. Info I wish I knew prior to my targeting getting this bad. You'll hear a part of the story where I tried to relocate off island summer of 2022. That was 2 years into the targeting. And it followed me, and I had some horrible reactions. And had I known how the thing works, I would have stopped myself from having those reactions. I would have tried to control myself better. But, I share info about the technology, how they surveil you. They use something called insect drones that look like real insects, mosquitoes, dragonflies, cockroaches, etc. And the mosquitoes bite you, put nano in you. That's how they get the RFID chip in you, which is an acronym for radio frequency identifier. That's how they get that in you, and they can track you anywhere via satellite out in space. This is some high science stuff, y'all. Anyway, so check out the videos, learn the info that you need to learn, info that's pertinent to you as a target, and then also info that will help you get to know me and my story. Check out those links. Once you do that, then you can start catching up with the recent developments in my targeting, like what's been happening for the whole year due to this reaction I had to gang stalking in the gym at the end of last year. When you get to that part of, there are several videos where I told the story of what happened, but you could check out this video that I made recently. It says part 1, another targeted individual documentation video. You can check that out. Then you can check out the sabotaging and gaslighting of the targeted individual, where again I talk about recent developments with that situation. Majority of the video wasn't about that. Majority of the video was me talking about what's going on with my career and the struggles with that and in that area of my life. Y'all, hold on. Let me just make sure the sound is working. Yeah, so just recent things that's going on with that area of my life, right? And then when you get to the end of the video, you'll hear about something that took place again pertaining to that personal trainer in the gym, something that happened with his girlfriend that led to the targeting amping up and all these horrible things happening. And you can see the next 2 videos says what to do if someone secretly records you, targeted individual sex tape scandal, where I was talking about my prior relationships and my sexual encounters, TMI, but I felt the need to do that and defend myself because after the incident with the personal trainer's girlfriend, they started sending some horrible stuff. Subliminals with the technology, you know how they can do that, send you videos with sensitization in it, hinting at having recorded one of my prior sexual interactions, and then they were insinuating false things about me. And so this is where I made those 2 videos to defend myself. Y'all, no, that's a So anyways, y'all, sorry about that. The same person that was just calling me came over and knocked on my door, and I'm here trying to make this video. I didn't even mean to come off like a bitch to her, but right now I'm doing this video. I know everybody's watching me, so I'm pretty sure she knows I'm making a video. Maybe not because she's on the phone with my other relative, but I'm just exasperated, y'all. Exhausted. I feel exasperated. I'm exhausted and I've been going all day and I dealt with a bunch of gang stalking bullshit. And in addition to the fact that I did intense workouts today. Today was my leg day, and my leg days are the hardest, right? As far as my workout regimen goes. So I was doing all kinds of stuff in the gym today. This is partially what the video was about. You know, it started there at the gym. It wasn't too bad, the gang stalking, but it was just like this slight little tactic they did. And then it trickled into the rest of the day. But I'm just exhausted because it was my intense leg day, and you know, I was deadlifting heavy weight. I deadlifted up to 290 pounds, which is nothing for me. Y'all have, if you've checked out my recent videos, you'll have seen me on camera doing that, deadlifting 300 pounds, right? So that's what I do. But today was my deadlift day. Actually, Monday is my deadlift day, but I keep doing that on the wrong day. Anyway, so I did deadlifts today, and I was squatting, you know, big heavy weight and all this kind of stuff like that, y'all. And then I did sprints, which is a part of my leg day now. So I'm exhausted from just physical exertion, extreme physical exertion, in addition to gang stalking tactics, which exhaust the mental. So it's mental and physical exertion, and I've been driving around all day. So I'm really tired and snappy, and I'm also intermittent fasting, and I just broke the fast. I mean, I broke it earlier. Technically, before the sprint, I did drink a Powerade. I was looking for coconut water. That's a lot better than Powerade. You get the same electrolytes and more, potassium, etc. It's way better for you. But I didn't see any coconut water in the gas station, so I grabbed a Powerade. So that broke my fast technically. But I just had my first meal for today. Y'all can see it's 8:42 p.m. I'm supposed to start eating at 1 p.m. and finish by 5 p.m. So things are off today. And then on top of things, I cheated. I had a cheat day and I went and got junk. That's largely what this video is about too. The gang stalking that took place while I was trying to get something to eat. It might have been God trying to tell me to stop being greedy because I'm trying to save my money. I don't have money to spend like that. And then on top of things, I'm trying to stick to my healthy diet, and every now and then I keep deviating off the path and stopping and grabbing pizza or chicken, fried chicken, and I'm not supposed to be doing that. You know, I'm living this healthy lifestyle, and it's counterproductive to the lifestyle I'm trying to live. You could do it every now and then, have a cheat meal, but these every now and thens are getting kind of frequent, and it's like I don't have the money for it, first of all, and then second of all, like I said, counterproductive to what I'm trying to do. But anyway, if you fast the way that I'm doing it, intermittent fast, and you work out, I'm not saying you could just say, oh, F it, you know, and just eat whatever, but you will still be healthy and get a lot of health benefit from the lifestyle. I was just reading a study where they're talking about these two control groups, where one group did the intermittent fasting and ate a bunch of junk and then did not change their diet. And then the other control group did the same intermittent fasting, but changed the diet and adapted a healthy lifestyle, ate healthier, etc. And they both received significant health benefits, almost the same amount of health benefit, without even changing the diet. But that's just how powerful intermittent fasting and fasting in general is. But that's not what I'm here for, y'all. I've talked about fasting and health and all that stuff in prior videos, and I will have videos dedicated to that because I am into holistic health and stuff, y'all. But that's not what this video is about. But I would recommend that if you are targeted, or even if you're not, that you get into fasting and make that a part of your lifestyle, because it's really healing for the body. It regenerates stem cells, heals, damage. It eats away damaged cells. Senescent cells is what they're called. So, everybody has those in them. Unless you're living like the perfect lifestyle and you're in an area where there's no pollution and no technology and everything you're eating is pure, then likely you and I and everyone else has senescent cells in them. And those are cells that are damaged and not useful to the body and can turn into problematic cells too eventually. So that's why fasting is good, because when you fast, there's a process called autophagy that takes place, which means self-eat. And so the body, that hunger pang that you're feeling, that starving feeling where you want to go grab something, that's the body eating senescent cells. And then it's also producing stem cells, which heals the body. And then it's also eating, if you're trying to lose weight, I'm not really, but even if you are somebody that works out and you're not necessarily trying to lose weight, it will help your body fat percentage go down while increasing your muscle because it releases growth hormone while eating away senescent cells and adipose tissue, which is fat cells. Fat. So that's why I like doing it. That's why I'm doing it. So long story short, y'all, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. Eating the junk and slipping up here and there it's not really going to have that significant of an impact on me with the lifestyle I'm living. But still, I can't afford it. So I was just saying maybe that was God telling me stop being greedy and go home. You have food at home. But nonetheless, I wanted to get drunk. So y'all, let me stop the video. I'm going off on a tangent. I keep doing stuff like this all the time. It's a mix of the ADD. Check out the banner. Talk with Sharifa, living with Asperger's and ADD. It's real, y'all. I was diagnosed in childhood with the ADD. It was so bad, I had an IEP when I was in school. And I was diagnosed professionally. So I have ADD, and then on top of things, I'm dealing with stress, y'all, which causes brain fog. I've talked about this in prior videos. So I'm not meaning to go off on a tangent. Relative tangent, but a tangent nonetheless. So I'll be back. Let me just end the video and listen to what I said so that the video's not all over the place. And I don't want the video to be super long. Let me end it, listen to what I said, and then come back, okay? Anyways, y'all, I realized where the tangent happened. It was the interruption from that person in my close circle and me having somewhat of a snappy, excuse me, I need to blow my nose, y'all. Me having somewhat of a snappy response and then apologizing in the video for sounding cranky. And then I went off on a tangent about why I was cranky and the fasting and the fact that I'm hungry and okay, so that was a tangent, y'all. Anyway, nonetheless, back to the point of the video. Because it is relative. Like I said, some gang stalking took place while I was trying to get some food. And that's largely what the video is about. But it trickled, like I said, from earlier. And so it's just like this just continuous cycle of gang stalking over. And it's like specifically, I mean, that's just how it is when you're targeted. You deal with gang stalking. It will be different for every target, obviously. Everything can turn into a gang stalking scenario when you're targeted. But I'm so through with the recent gang stalking activity. The specific topic with this person in the gym, I want that to be done now. And then also this thing, like I said, that happened with a coworker of mine when I was working the correction officer job. They're really hammering me with that too. So I just want to talk about it. All right, so I went to the gym. And if y'all have been listening to my recent videos, like I said, you'll kind of hear what's been going on. Y'all know I changed my gym schedule. After the incident with the trainer's girlfriend, I noticed I made some videos talking about what started taking place, the gang stalking activity and how it amped up after that interaction between she and I, right? So anyway, I noticed they started doing this thing where they started putting him again in the gym at the time where I go to work out. And I have a new regimen now where I'm going at a certain time, and it was lined up with my schedule for intermittent fasting. So I changed the whole thing around just so I could go earlier and not have to work out with him. Because not work out with him like we're working out together, but work out in the same vicinity. I keep reiterating or trying to reiterate, I don't have a problem with him. It's just that I'm traumatized now. I've dealt with so much gang stalking activity and false narratives pertaining to the situation that I feel completely uncomfortable working out around this person. I've said that a million times. And it's like they're just like adamantly trying to get me in there with him. I don't know why. I'm completely uncomfortable now. It was not like that before. Even after the initial whatever that happened between him and I happened, I was still in there working out around him. It would seem like unfazed. That's what it felt like at first until certain gang stalking activities started taking place. It's been a year full of just aggressively pushing this thirsty narrative. All of these guys, the way I described it was like gym thugs. his friends, I was describing them as the gym thugs because they're all following me around doing horrible stuff. I mean, it's so much better now. It's gotten a little bit better, like recently. But the whole year was terrible. And some of them were really like horrible with what they were doing. Anyway, so I even noticed today when I went, it seems like they tried to trick me because I changed my time, like I said, right? I changed the time and I even changed my fasting schedule. My fasting schedule is now 1 to 5. The way I had it set up before was in a way where I could have a meal before working out. Typically, before you work out, you want to get some sort of carb source because your body burns the carbs for energy. So you can get a carb source, and a lot of people use caffeine. I'm not a fan of caffeine. I don't like it. I don't like what it does for the body. It's typically acidic. It depends on what source you're getting it from. But I don't like using caffeine. It burns out your adrenal glands because there's a spike in cortisol every time you use caffeine. It's just not something that I'm a fan of. And then I have acid reflux on top of things. So it's never agreed with my body either. But nonetheless, now that I had to change my intermittent fasting schedule and put it later in the day to make things work, I'm now eating 1 to 5 instead of, what was it before that I was doing? I believe I was doing 9 to 2 is what I think I was doing. 9 to 10 to 11 to 12 to 1 to 2, or 9 to 1, I think is what I was doing. Something like that, y'all. Or 10, it was 10 to 2. I was doing 10 to 2 before. I changed the whole schedule up just because they started sticking him in my gym. It's not I don't own the gym because I get gaslit with that too for certain reactions I have to gang stalking. For instance, one of the things that they made like a main staple, and it hasn't been as bad recently. They don't really use that gang stalking tactic on me anymore. But one of the things they used as a gang stalking tactic on me throughout the year was trying to block up, I've talked about this in prior videos, the mirror while I'm using the Smith machine. And so I would be having these complaints because I have long femurs, y'all. And so if you're into working out and specifically working legs out, you'll know that people that have longer femurs, I've talked about this in prior videos anyways, y'all, even if you're not into working out. People that have longer femurs are, there's a word I'm looking for and it's evading me right now. Not predisposed, that's the wrong word. Oh my gosh, my brain, just complete brain fart, y'all. Susceptible, that's the word I'm looking for. Jesus. People that have longer femurs are susceptible to poor squat form. It's harder for us to squat. And it has something to do with ankle mobility and knee to toe travel and all that stuff like that. So typically, because I tend to lean more forward in my squat, that's why I like the Smith machine, because I can look in the mirror and make sure I'm not leaning forward too much. And so as a gang stalking tactic, they would purposely have people come, it's like this big, huge mirror. And they would purposely have people come right in front of the specific part where I'm squatting and looking in the mirror and start using like a free weight, like dumbbells, where you could go in any part of the mirror and do that. So it's just like blatant gang stalking tactics. And so I get upset about it. And then they would kind of like perpetuate this narrative, like with the gang stalking, as if like I'm some sort of pig-headed person that thinks I own the gym, like this entitled Karen, because they actually called me a Karen the other day too, by the way, y'all. When I was in the food stamp office, they played me on the pool game with the title Karen, with an avatar that said Karen. I've already told y'all with the technology. Check out the links in the description box and comment section. It's called shadow networking. They can send subliminal stuff with the technology. Anyway, so that's kind of how the gang stalking, the way they were like moving subliminally, is like they were insinuating that I was being a Karen for complaining about them doing that gang stalking tactic. But it's obvious gang stalking. It's not me being a Karen. I don't think I own the whole mirror, but it's this big, huge mirror. I can't pick the Smith machine up off the floor. It's cemented to the floor. So I have to use that specific part of the mirror that's in front of the mirror. But you have the whole mirror. You're using free weights. You're using dumbbells. You're going to come directly in front of me and block the mirror. And you could tell they were gang stalking. It was gang stalking activity. And then they would paint it like I was being this entitled Karen that feels like I own the gym. No, it's like you're gang stalking and you're doing stuff to antagonize me and you know what you're doing. And so it would be situations like that. My God, my brain went blank again. This is insanity. This is absolute absolute insanity, y'all. That's a symptom of the technology. I actually just talked about this in my last video. They said one of the long-term, it's scary actually, y'all. One of the long-term effects of direct energy weapons, like that thing that causes the tinnitus in the air popping and makes it difficult for me to swallow sometimes, or makes it feel like I'm having shortness of breath. They said one of the long-term effects is cognitive issues, brain fog, etc. Similar to what I have been experiencing recently, in addition to the fact that I have ADD. So it's not a good mix. So on days like this, where it's been a long day and I did like intense physical exertion, and then I dealt with gang stalking, etc., it's real bad for me. Let me show y'all though, tangent, but relative, and it's relative to you too if you're targeted. You should know about this stuff. I showed this in the last video. I took a screenshot of it. Symptoms of directed energy weapon attack can include an acute onset of neurological issues, such as pressure in the head, disorientation, and vertigo, along with auditory symptoms like a perceived loud noise, i.e. tinnitus, y'all. They're talking about tinnitus at that part. Anyway, more chronic symptoms can include headaches, balance problems, cognitive difficulties, and vision changes. You know, that's one of the things they try to antagonize me about too. You know, sometimes I'll read something and it seems like I'm stammering, or I can't speak, or it's a word that I'm struggling on. I struggled on the word unemployment the other day. Do you really think as a former English teacher I can't read unemployment? You think I can't read the word unemployment? This is what I'm trying to explain to you, how intense this thing is. It's not just that it's like this traumatizing, long-winded punishment that you don't know when it's going to end, because there's this indeterminate amount of time where they don't give you like a sentence, like a prison sentence, where at least you know, okay, I got 7 years, whatever, God forbid. 7 years, okay, I gotta knock it out. Like, there's no sentence. It's like this indeterminate amount of time, and they hint that they're gonna let you go, and then next thing you know, the targeting amps up, and it's the scariest experience that you could ever face. So you're dealing with the trauma and PTSD of that and all the things that come along with the targeting. And then the physical aspect of it, where they're using DEWs, which is an acronym for direct energy weapons, which has all of these effects. I have trouble often in swallowing. I'm having another bout of it. At the end of 2023, I made a video about it. I think it exacerbates the acid reflux, or causes indigestion, or maybe it's messing with the thyroid, because constantly with the technology they're sending me stuff about thyroid. I don't know what it's doing, but whenever it's being used on me on a regular basis, like they have a moment where they're amp up with the gang stalking or they're targeting and they're using it on me incessantly, I start noticing I'm having trouble swallowing. Also the brain fog, it's really bad. Let me show you more though, y'all, because these are just acute and immediate symptoms. That little insert I just read for you, that's just like acute, immediate symptoms. There are long-term effects, and the cognitive that I just read, that's acute and immediate, but it's also a long-term effect. So acute and immediate symptoms: auditory phenomena, a loud, piercing, or high-frequency sound described as a chirping, clicking, or screeching sound. Pressure and pain, intense pressure or a vibrating sensation in the head with air or diffuse head pain. Dizziness, vertigo, and problems with balance and coordination. You know, last time I had trouble with these same two words, with the diffuse and with coordination. Literally, last time I said coordination. I said coordination last time, y'all, for coordination. Anyway, visual disturbances, blurred vision, sensitivity to light, or even temporary blindness. Other, nausea, difficulty breathing, and general systemic discomfort. Now, let's talk about the chronic and longer term symptoms, y'all. This is what I've been struggling with. Cognitive problems, difficulty with focus, forgetfulness, and other neurocognitive abnormalities. So imagine being someone that has severe ADD and then dealing with this. In addition to the psychological aspect of it too, because you're dealing with a lot of trauma and gang stalking and PTSD and everybody's staring at you. So you're dealing with the psychological, you're dealing with the physical, the do, that has these effects, these long-term effects. And then I'm somebody that has severe ADD. Do you understand why it sounds like I'm all over the place sometimes? Or like I can't speak or can't get my words together? I keep saying it almost would emulate someone that has a speech impediment with the way that I stammer on my words sometimes. Anyway, headaches, severe and persistent headaches. I don't have them severe and persistent, thank God. But whenever they're using it on me, I notice that whole day my head will be hurting. Another thing, y'all, is balance and coordination. Persistent issues with balance and unsteady gait. I don't have that, and I think that's because I work out. Hearing and vision. Tinnitus, which is what I just mentioned a little while ago, y'all, when they were saying the auditory. So ringing in the ears, hearing loss, vision changes, fatigue, profound and persistent fatigue. So those latter things that they listed off, I would say like the last three, those are things I don't really suffer with, and I think it's due to my physical lifestyle, my active lifestyle, y'all. I'm physically active. I work out, and like I told you, I'm intermittent fasting. But the cognitive problems, that's something that I would say is a long-term effect that I've suffered with. The headache, that's more acute for me. Like when they're using it in the moment, I might get a headache in that moment or that day. But the cognitive problems, that's been a thing, and it's so scary. That and swallowing, difficulty swallowing. Anyway, y'all, let me blow my nose and I'll be back. So, y'all, I realized what tangent happened. You know, again, similar to what happened with the person in my close circle in the prior clips. What caused the tangent was when I was mentioning the fact that he started coming during my gym time. You know, that sounds so entitled. And if you weren't aware of, like I said, the targeting and the tactics that are used, then you would think that I'm a Karen. And let me just be careful before I end up in problems. They actually called me a Karen with the technology. I know everyone saw it, right? And when I say everyone, I'm talking about the people on island, y'all. When you're targeted, there's a live feed, and the people in the area typically can see you on these cameras, everyone around you in your neighborhood. In my case, I have a unique targeting, where I'm on a small island of about 45,000 people, and everyone on the island has access to these cameras. So, that's what I'm dealing with, y'all. That's the situation I'm dealing with. And, so whenever I make comments like that, just know that I'm talking about my specific situation. So the other day when I was in the food stamp office, while I was waiting to be seen, I was playing my pool game, and with the technology, the shadow networking technology, they played against me with an avatar titled Karen. So let me just be very clear. I don't use that word, so I don't want to offend anyone. I already have this contentious thing to my targeting where I shared offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda in my targeting in 2022. That was when I tried to relocate off island, y'all, and the targeting went viral. It was out of anger because of some racially charged gang stalking I dealt with in Indiana. It's inexcusable. I'm not trying to excuse the things that I said, but I'm just telling you the facts. It was cause and effect. I was dealing with intense gang stalking, and I sat in my car and I shared a lot of offensive things. So it's just one of those things, y'all. That's just how the targeting works. You're antagonized, you're harassed, you're tortured, you're traumatized, and then you have these angry, nasty reactions. It's called reactive abuse. Look up the term, y'all. And then you get gaslit and painted as a monster, as if you just sat there sharing that stuff for the heck of it. And by the way, y'all, that Hebrew Israelite propaganda that I shared in my car. But because of how the targeting works, where, like I said, you're being surveilled 24/7, and they're projecting the feed to the people around you, it was as good as me going out in the streets and sharing that information. Although you do have people that are in the streets every day for years that have been sharing that info that's not targeted. You hear them chirping, so that's not what this is about. Anyway, even though they like to throw that as one of the many other things that they throw at me in the targeting, it's just strange. I don't understand it, y'all. It's some weird spiritual thing that's happening. But anyway, not to go off on another tangent. So with the Karen thing, I want to make sure that it's clear that I'm not trying to offend anyone, because what happened is that word, I want to say it started off as a race thing. I remember when they started using Karen, and it was supposed to describe, I'm just saying how it started. I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want to use it and then they use this as another excuse to perpetuate me being this prejudiced person, and they called me a Karen. Okay, so that's why I'm using the word and saying I'm not a Karen. But the history that I know about the word, it started being used for typically like a suburban entitled female, oftentimes Caucasian. That's how they started using it. And you'd have these viral videos of someone supposedly being a Karen. But then what everyone else in society did, which I like the fact that they did that, was they took away the race element and they just started using Karen to describe an entitled person. It's no longer specific to gender or race. They use it on men. I've seen viral videos where they're calling black men Karens or Spanish men Karens. So Karen at this point now, despite however it started, it's used to describe an entitled person. Somebody that's usually entitled and feels like they have a right to certain treatment or certain things. And so obviously that's how they were using it on me. They're not using it in a racial way. So when I'm saying I'm not a Karen, I'm just talking about specifically the word entitled. I'm not an entitled person. I just know what I deserve and I fight for what I think and or know is right. For instance, I didn't talk about it and I'm not going to talk about it in this video. No, I don't want trouble. In the last video, I briefly mentioned, because they started chirping the birds and, I don't want problems. I briefly mentioned my experience with the food stamp office, right? The fact that I had been in there for a whole month prior, adamantly coming in and dealing with my stuff and turning things in on time, and I almost didn't get food stamps still, despite that. And so for them to play against me that day when I went there to find out why I didn't get my food stamps, for them to play against me on the game and insinuate that I'm a Karen, it's gaslighting and it's inaccurate. I wasn't being a Karen. I was being somebody who deserves the same treatment as everyone else. I came in on time. I turned in all of my documents on time. Certain things happen. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want problems. Certain things happen that were not my fault. Right? Out of my control. And, so I didn't deserve what felt like punishment for something that was out of my control or something that wasn't my fault. And so I don't want to talk about the situation too much, y'all. Like I said, I don't want problems. I advocated for myself that day and I did end up getting my food stamps. Long story short. But the point is, it wasn't me being entitled. That was me just being a customer that deserves the same treatment as everyone else. I was fighting for equality. Just because I'm a target, doesn't mean that you can do just about anything to me. That's not right. And they all saw me going in there and turning my stuff in and making sure to go in almost every day, driving all the way down to that end of the island to ensure that I would get my food stamps. So I fought and I got my food stamps. Long story short. But I'm not a Karen and I'm not an entitled person. Anyway, y'all, so the tangent I went off on, though, was, let's get back to the point, talking about the gym fiasco with the trainer and how they're now putting him at the time that I used to go. And what I said was, he's going during my gym time now. And I had to reevaluate the statement because I realized it sounds entitled. And if you don't understand the particulars, you would think I'm an entitled person. No, it's gang stalking. And so that's why I tried to show you that example of another situation pertaining to the gym where I was gaslit. And it would seem like I was being this Karen, i.e. entitled person, when that's not what was going on. It was gang stalking and gaslighting. So it's the same thing with this guy. He was not going at the same time as me before. And then all of a sudden this thing where his girlfriend happens and the targeting amps up. They start all kinds of stuff, y'all. Like I said, I told y'all what they started doing. Insinuating certain stuff. Y'all, I just cannot deal with this. Somebody's on the porch. Let me wait till the person goes inside and then I'll finish the video. Yeah, y'all, I'm back. So the thing happened with his girlfriend. If you've been keeping up with recent videos, then you know what I'm talking about. And they started insinuating stuff with the shadow networking AI software technology, sending subliminals about sex tapes. Excuse me. And y'all, when I say sex tapes, I don't mean sex tapes that I recorded. I've never recorded a sex tape. I'm not judging you if you have. I'm talking about sexual encounters that were recorded illegally due to the targeting. And they insinuated that they, whatever, you know, and then to add insult to injury, when I started acting shocked about what I was seeing in the movie I was watching, where, you know, how they can insert sensitization into the shows you're watching, etc. Then I was also playing on my pool game, and they played against me with an avatar that was the name of the friend of my ex-boyfriend who I had the interaction with in my apartment. And then started doing some gang stalking stuff, insinuating a false narrative. And so that was what led to me creating these videos and defending myself. But it went real low. They started doing all kinds of gang stalking stuff because of what took place with his girlfriend and I. And it wasn't something that they had set up that I handled maturely. I wasn't nasty about it. You know, she insulted me. If you listen, like I said, to the end of the sabotaging and gaslighting video and hear about the encounter, you'll hear that I didn't handle that nasty. Even after she insulted me, I still didn't insult her. I just simply said, really, whatever comment I said, y'all check out the video. And then I went home and I made a video about the interaction. That's all I did. I never, up to now, up to this day, I have not insulted this lady. I have never insulted her. Every tactic they've used to hurt me, as it pertains to her, I handled maturely. And I still keep getting punished, and they're pushing these false narratives, and they won't let the situation go. I've even apologized for what started the thing in the first place, even though I didn't start it. Where for a whole month, he started doing like this really harsh gang stalking activity. If you listen to the story, you'll hear about it, right? And I eventually, after a whole month of dealing with it, about a month, I had one day where I reacted and I insulted him via my thoughts, y'all. Remember, they microchip you and they can hear your thoughts in real time with the technology. It's called brain-to-computer interface, and it's technological telepathy. One day I had a nasty reaction, and after that, it was game time. I started to suffer like crazy in that gym with the gang stalking. I apologized on numerous occasions. His friends went into the back room and insulted me and was comparing me to his girlfriend via directed convo. I still never insulted her. I actually went in a video and complimented her and him. And the gang stalking still continued. It just was like, it was just up from there. It was like, it was up and stuck. It was never coming back down. Like, I just don't understand. And so it's still a thing, and it's still happening. And like I said, this recent thing with his girlfriend where she and I had a direct interaction. This was the first time she and I ever interacted directly, where they were trying to do this gang stalking tactic that backfired, which, again, I handled maturely. And then after that, it was just up from there, even worse. It was already up, but it was just like all these different horrible things started happening. And so it's just kind of like I've been dealing with the fallout from that, basically. So anyway, something else happened today. So that's partially what they started doing, though. Started trying to use him during my gym time again. Because I had stopped. Months ago, that stopped. You know, it stopped when he was coming in still during the daytime during my session. I talked about this in prior videos. I don't want to talk about it again. This song, this Angie Stone song, played on my playlist. I believe he thought the song was for him. This is why I keep saying I think it's like hypocritical when they insinuate that I'm narcissistic or I'm this entitled, pig-headed, self-absorbed person. Because a lot of the things that's taking place in the targeting or a lot of the things that they're insinuating about me, they're exhibiting at times. Like, that was so egotistical of him to think that that song was for him. Angie Stone had just passed away. They're watching me 24/7. I put so many of this lady's songs on my playlist. Right before that song, I believe another song for her was playing. Then that song plays, he started doing all kind of gang stalking stuff, looking like he getting upset. I'm like, the song is not for you. If you listen to the lyrics, aside from the part where she says, you're following me around, maybe he just felt guilty because he was following me around in there. It was gang stalking stuff. Other than that, everything else would not apply to him. I don't know what he does with his spare time. I don't know if personal training is his only bread and butter. I don't know if he has another job, but I don't know him really. I've been working out with him for about a year and change. And I can't classify him as anything more than an acquaintance. I've had surface level convos with him. That's it. I've never had an in-depth convo with him or anyone in that gym for that matter. We've had surface level convos about gym stuff. I don't know him. I don't know what he got going on. I don't know if he has another career or another job, but it didn't apply to him. Anyway, so after that thing where I was feeling so uncomfortable, I didn't even want to listen to music around him, he stopped coming. I didn't even make a video about it, by the way. I think he realized he overreacted. He stopped coming. They stopped using him as a gang stalker on me. Then for a couple of days, like a week, they were using his girlfriend. She did some gang stalking stuff. And then she stopped coming. And then for a few months, still dealing with the gang stalking activity like crazy. But he was not a part of the equation anymore. Then a couple things happened. Like I had this weird dream. I believe it was technological dream manipulation. It was very vivid. They then brought him in one time during my session. He left early in the session. After that, I haven't seen him. They haven't been using him. He hasn't been coming. Then, like I said, the thing with his girlfriend happened about a month ago now. Time is flying. All of a sudden, I noticed they're inserting him again, like during my gym time. I'm no longer comfortable working out around him. I don't have an issue with him. Despite whatever he did to me, I'm an objective person. I keep saying that. And I don't think he's a bad person. He was bad to me, but I don't think he's a bad person. And I observed him before things got nasty between us. And I recognize that he seems to be a humble person that really helps people in the gym. I even said I believe he is a good personal trainer. I'm an objective person. My only tiff is the beef keeps continuing. They're still gang stalking me. They're still doing gang stalking stuff. They're still insinuating thirst when that's not true. If you listen to how everything went down between him and I, that's just not true. I had his number. I didn't use it. I could have went on a hike with him. I didn't go. And the whole reason I even made the comment about him, I've talked about this already, especially in recent videos, was because they were sticking this dude on top of me. They actually used him today, by the way. They stuck this dude that they thought was my type on top of me when I first started working out in the gym. It was like a handful of them. There was a bunch of dudes in there when I first started working out in the gym. Everybody was watching me because I'm the target. So it's like freak show. You know, it's not like I came in there with this pig-headed, cocky disposition. Oh, they all want me. No, it was more so like, oh God, target and everybody's eyes is on me. I'm not used to this. Oh boy. You know, like I'm a low-key person. This is too much for me. Can I handle this? And then it was like a small handful of them. One I actually recognized from years ago when I was talking to the cyberstalking, cyberbullying dude via Facebook. I know for sure he's a confirmed friend of that dude. And I think a lot of those guys in there are, because it's a small community down here. I keep saying this. And so a lot of those gym dudes know each other. So I believe all them dudes in there probably know him. This is really where everything stems from as it pertains to that element of the gang stalking. Anyway, nonetheless, there was a small handful of them that they were, like, when I first got in there, they were helping me use the machines and stuff. They were not being nasty towards me. Not like what started happening recently after what happened with the personal trainer at the end of last year. But they were doing this patronizing thing, like I said, where they're like trying to make eye contact with me and like this over the top checking me out type thing. It was just like a good like 5 of them, like maybe 4 to 5 of them. I was like, okay, this is overwhelming, but whatever, it's fine. At least they're helping me with the machines. You know, this is a lot better than what I thought could have happened. He was one of them in there. He wasn't actually doing the tactic. He was just in there helping and moving around and helping me with machines and helping everyone else and moving around and being humble. Then they stuck this one cocky dude on top of me. Based on what they've seen, the activity they have seen in my brain, like the guy that they saw me daydreaming about where they were trying to humiliate me and they played against me on the pool game with his name in 2023. I've talked about this in prior videos, y'all. This is how I knew they were reading my thoughts. And this is when I started doing research and learning about the high science element of targeting and the brain to computer interface, etc. So anyway, based on what they saw of him, and based on some of the other guys that have seen me date or who guys have talked about in the past that I had interactions with on Island that they know about, I think they figured that this guy would be my type. That's what I think was going on with that. So they put him on top of me. And he was acting really cocky and pig-headed, like a lot more pig-headed than the others. Like the others, it was more, like I said, this kind of lighthearted, patronizing thing. With him, it was more like this cocky kind of, I can't explain it, man. It was just irking me. And they kept doing it. I noticed it's like he became this permanent, like, staple in my workout. Where it was just like he wasn't there with the initial set of dudes. But like maybe, like I want to say maybe a month or 2 into the working out, they just randomly one day brought him in during the daytime. And he walked into this cocky kind of way and he just kept working out on top of me and doing gang stalk and stuff. And I remember it irking the heck out of me because I knew what they were doing. It was almost like an insult to my intelligence. No, I'm not slow. So anyways, that's why I did my own tactic. I keep saying that and it backfired majorly. So I called out the dude that was there. He was there from day one. Humble, moving around. He wasn't doing the stupid crap. He wasn't one of them that was doing it. And I said whatever stupid shit I said, man. And oh my God, the thing later down the line blew up in my face. Later down the line. So anyways, so now today, first of all, I told you they started trying to use the guy, the main trainer guy that I made the comment about. Whatever comment it was I made. Y'all check out my prior videos to know what I said. Right? In reference to what I was just talking about. That main trainer guy that was moving humble, that's now the guy that I have the issue with. Or I don't want to say issue with, but that's created all the gang stalking in the gym. Recently, like I said, ever since the thing with his girlfriend about a month ago, they started sticking him in the gym during the time they knew I was going to the gym. So I'm like, oh boy, what are they going to do now? Because all this other stuff had already happened. I'm like, oh boy. And at this point, I don't feel comfortable working out around him anymore. I'm going to be concerned about the music I'm listening to. Everybody's watching the interaction like it's a movie. It's just too much, man. So anyway, my head's hurting me. So I changed my gym time up, y'all. Long story short. I started going earlier. I said this in prior videos. And I changed my intermittent fasting schedule from 10 to 2 to 1 to 5. I now make it so that I come before he gets there. And even still, that being the case, he's still now permanently going there at that time. It's like he purposely took on a client at that time or whatever it is that they're doing. Where it's like that time slot is no longer available to me. It could be, but it would be extremely awkward. So anyway, this morning now, fast forward to what happened today, y'all. Finally to what happened today. I have a person in my close circle that had to get ready for work. And my gym time now, I get up at 9:07 to get ready. I have an alarm set. I was explaining to you all in the earlier clips, I don't like caffeine or coffee. But because now my workouts are fasted, I had to change my intermittent fasting schedule and push it to later in the day due to the whole change in the gym time. Because he's now coming during the time that I was going. I'm now going earlier. And so I'm now drinking coffee for energy because I'm doing fasted workouts. And by the way, y'all, there are benefits to fasted workouts. I've done my research on it. It's just difficult. You know, it takes a lot of endurance and stamina to do a fasted workout. And so if you are doing fasted workouts, you're typically going to need some sort of boost, or it's going to be just way too difficult unless you're some sort of superhuman. You need some sort of caffeine or something. A lot of people take pre-workout. I'm not a fan of that. It's high in caffeine. I'm more of a naturalistic type person. So that's already a negative. And then on top of things, it's real high in caffeine. Way higher caffeine content than coffee. And coffee's already too much for me. So anyway, what I'm doing now is for the energy, I'm taking straight black coffee, no sweetener, so that I don't break my fast. And I'm putting moringa powder in it. So that's the energy I'm using, and I'm only doing it on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then also I learned that coffee helps with autophagy. The thing I was talking about earlier in the video, the self-eat process when you're fasting, coffee helps facilitate that process. So it actually makes autophagy more effective if you drink it during a fast. So it does have a benefit if you drink it during fasting. Also green tea. And green tea is actually better for you. It's higher in antioxidants. It's a lower caffeine level, etc. But because I need the energy with the heavy type of lifting that I do in the gym, and I'm doing fasted workouts, green tea is not going to be enough caffeine for me. So I'm doing straight black coffee with moringa powder in it on my gym days, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So what made me start talking about that though, y'all? So anyway, I'm just thinking about the fact that I can't even eat a meal now before my workout because everything had to change due to what they're doing. Anyway, so this morning, So this morning I was making my coffee, y'all. I make my coffee at 8:40, and then I get up and I get ready for the gym at 9:07, and I leave the house by 9:40. My gym is about 5 to 10 minutes away. It's like a 7-minute drive. It's right down the hill from my house, basically. So I get to the gym about 9:50, pretty much. Now that's my time, and I stay there for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It just depends, right? So anyway, not even an hour and a half. I'm really there for about an hour now. My gym time has gone down significantly now that I'm doing this new workout method, the Mike Mentzer method. I've talked about this in prior videos. I'm not going to go off on a tangent about it though. So anyway, nonetheless, I wasn't able to get into the bathroom this morning because someone in my close circle had to go to work, and he went in the bathroom right at the time when I typically get up and get ready. And the issue with that is now that, we're in this house where we have one bathroom. I've talked about the situation, y'all, and what's going on in the house, and I don't want to talk about it right now, but we have one bathroom, and so that's been a source of contention as well. It's been difficult. Everybody has stuff to do. It's just rough, especially with what's going on with me and the gym thing and the gym situation and me trying to get there for a certain time. It just makes it difficult because if it takes too long for me to get in the bathroom and get to the gym, he's coming in, the guy, right, that started coming during my other gym time. He's coming in that time period that's right after the time that I typically now go. So he comes at around 11 o'clock, 11 a.m.-ish, around that time. I'm trying to be out the gym by then. If somebody takes the bathroom for a long time and it takes me long to get ready, then my workout's going to extend to when he gets there. Or I'll get there and he's going to already be there. So that's where it's complicated. And if he's there, then I have to take drives. I'm not trying to go home and sit in my gym clothes on my bed. And they do noise campaigns on me in this neighborhood too. So it leads to me going in the car and driving up and down, trying to burn 2 hours away. It's just stupid. I don't even want to have to go through this. It's so dumb. I want to just go work out and go home. That was my intent for getting the membership. It wasn't going there for man and drama. I didn't sign up for men and drama. That's not what I signed up for. I signed up to work out. Anyway, so nonetheless, so this morning, this person in my close circle was in the bathroom when I had to get ready. So it took me long to get ready and get in the bathroom and stuff. And when I got there, I was like, okay, he's definitely probably there, but let me just check. I was like, maybe they're going to stop, putting him there at that time now. They stop doing stuff eventually and then something else will start, right? The whole situation has not stopped. It's just going on and on and on and on and on. Anyway, so nonetheless, I pull up, I did not see his vehicle. And they know that's been the habit for the last month. Every time they try to stick him there, they've tried to stick him there when I'm going. I see the vehicle. I know his vehicle. I do a U-turn. I bust off. And I'll come back when his car isn't there. It's like they tried to trick me this morning. So I pull up. I don't see the vehicle. I was like, okay. I was shocked, actually. I was like, maybe they stopped using him again. Maybe things going to go back to normal now. Things are going to go back to normal now. So I park up and I'm just like, the hairs are up on my arms. I'm just like, I don't know. This is, I know he's been coming around this time. I was expecting to do a U-turn. I went in with the intention to do a U-turn. I was certain I was going to see his car. I was like, I don't see him. I was like, all right. I park up, I close the door, I lock the door, I hear somebody in the main road, right? Somebody watching me on camera, obviously, ref campaign, rum, rum. I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, they're probably just doing that because they know he typically is here at this time now and he's not here. So they're just trying to antagonize me. I go on, I had some friendly banter with the gym owner. I bank the corner, get into the thing. I see the man walking up and down in the yellow suit. The yellow suit he likes to wear. I was like, oh my God. I said, they tricked me. So I didn't run, but I did a whole U-turn. I'm not playing. I'm not working out in there with him again. I'm done. It's him and the Italian guy. It's done. It's a wrap. I'm not working out with those people. If I see them, no disrespect to them. Too many awkward things have happened that make me uncomfortable. If I go in there and I see them, I'm doing a U-turn. So it's a waste of time to try to use them as gang stalkers. If I see them, I'm doing a U-turn. Especially with him, even more so than the Italian guy, actually. Because way more has happened with him. A whole year of like torture for something that I think I didn't deserve. I didn't start. Anyway, so I did a U-turn. I said, oh my God, they tricked me. You know, I thought that, I didn't say it out loud. I thought that in my head. I immediately did a U-turn and I came out the gym. As I'm coming out, I see this truck driving like it's going to drive past. So I stop and I tell the truck to go ahead and they tell me to cross the road. When I look in the truck, it's the cocky dude. The one that I have talked about in recent videos that I said led to me saying the thing about the dude in the first place. The one that they were using on me that was acting super cocky when I first got in the gym that I was just talking about a little while ago. He's there in a truck and he tells me, come on. So it's just one set of it's a shit show at this point now. But I'm like, when are they going to stop is what I'm saying. Because it's like, so it's gone so low. It's beyond just, okay, gang stalking stuff, annoying gang stalking stuff that makes me uncomfortable. It's gone to the point of bullying. I've been insulted by his girlfriend when I hadn't done anything to her. It's to the point where other men are getting involved and calling me thirsty when that's inaccurate. Antagonization, harassment for something that was out of my control. I don't deserve it. It's not fair. It's just all unfair treatment. It's unfair. It's not right. It's unfair. And it's this continuous like thing. And it keeps getting lower and lower to the point where they're insinuating having recorded me having, you know what? Like how low is it going to go? Because it's gone beyond the scope of just, okay, surface level gang stalking. Like they've gone real low to get the lick back for something that he started is how I feel about it. And I've already apologized. I've apologized. I complimented him and his girlfriend. His girlfriend dissed me. I didn't diss her back. Like, I don't know what else I can do to rectify the situation and make it stop. I'm done with it. I'm tired. I think they've done more than enough to get the lick back or get the revenge. I don't know what more. I've apologized, even though I didn't start it. I handled the situation maturely. Like, what more can I do to rectify the situation and make it stop? At this point now, it's just clout. They're doing a bunch of yellow all over the island and stuff. It's become this big freaking fanfare. How do I stop it now? Like, let's just go back to like before we knew each other and let's just call bygones bygones and we're even now. You actually got way more on me than I did on you that one day. We are even. Even Steven. Like, everything should be cool now. Like, I just want the situation done. Anyway, so now, I left the gym after I saw him. I was like, heck no. Right? So I pulled a U-turn. I left the gym and hopped in my vehicle. And I drove off. And, like I said, I saw the other guy. And he let me cross him for his truck. And I get in my car and I leave. And I was just driving up and down. And while I'm driving up and down, I decided to deviate off of my playlist. Big mistake. So I deviated off of my playlist. I said, let me listen to 90s music. I put on the 90s music. You know they're going to shadow network and start sending sensitization. So first they start sending the false narrative about the coworker, the prior coworker, you know, the female that I had the dream about and whatever thoughts or whatever it was that happened with her, right? They start sending songs about that first. Like this one song, I actually know the song too. I grew up listening to that song. I've said this in prior videos. I grew up with a mom that even though her family is from the islands and I'm island 100%. Like my mom's side of the family is Virgin Islander and my dad's side of the family is Trini. And we even have some Bahamian, not Bahamian, wrong thing, Bayesian, Barbados in us. I'm island 100%, but my mom from childhood, she was born in New York because both of her parents, her dad was from St. Thomas and her Mom was from St. Croix. So those are two islands in the United States Virgin Islands. They both met in New York. They were in New York for school or whatever they were up there for. My grandma was up there for school. I believe my grandpa was up there for school too. They met, married, had my mom and her 4 siblings, right? So my mom grew up in New York. She was born and you could say raised, despite being an island person and having those roots. She was born and raised in New York from childhood all the way up until age 14, I believe is the age she said, when her parents moved back to the Virgin Islands and she was introduced to the island life. And so at age 14, that's when she met my dad, and the rest is history. They got married and had me and my siblings and I. But long story short, she has the background of being in the States and stuff. So a lot of the music that she listened to was stateside music. I don't have that background of listening to necessarily the island music like that. On my dad, yes. My dad used to listen to reggae like crazy. The old school reggae. Like, what's the name? Stapleton and people like that, man. The old school reggae my dad used to listen to. So I did grow up listening to that too whenever we would ride in his truck or his vehicle. But my mom, the music she was listening to, it wasn't island music. It was Erykah Badu. It was Lauryn Hill. It was Jill Scott. It was Maxwell. It was Eric Benet. People like that type of genre where it's like that neo-soul stateside type music. So I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. It happens all the time, y'all. I was just trying to say a lot of the songs that they were throwing at me are songs that I know. So I think they were thinking that they were throwing songs at me. And when I say they, the AI, don't think that these folks are that fast and witty, right? With some of the sensitization. The way they're sending songs that match up so perfectly, sometimes I'm sure they have a song in mind that they can throw at me with the algorithm. It's the AI, it's programmed. So all they have to do, I believe, is how it works, is type in certain keywords and the AI will throw certain songs at you. And so I think the AI probably thought I wouldn't be familiar with these songs because I grew up in the islands, but I grew up with that type of background listening to that type of music is what I'm trying to say. So it was a relative tangent. So a lot of the songs they were throwing at me, I knew what the lyrics were ahead of time, so I knew to change it. But some of them, not necessarily. Anyway, so they sent me this song from Maxwell that I grew up listening to in my mom's car. And it's called Ascension. And it's just singing about basically like he's in love, right? Like he found this person, obviously a female. He's straight, heterosexual. That he's head over heels in love with. And he's just basically telling her like she's the highest of the high. Like it doesn't get any higher than that. He's like, you're the highest of the high. I forgot the lyrics. Oh my God, I don't forget the lyrics. But I know the lyrics because I grew up listening to it. So that's why I was singing along to it. But that was how they started shadow networking. Because remember, I was driving around trying to pass the time until I went back to the gym and the trainer wouldn't be there. So that's the first song they sent to me. So I humor them. Like when they send these songs to antagonize me, sometimes it's songs that I like that one I grew up listening to. And I'll throw it on the playlist. Sometimes I will even throw it on my playlist. In this case, I was like, let me not throw this on my playlist. But I started singing along and just having fun with it, man. With the stupidness. So I'm singing, I'm crooning. I can't sing, y'all. I can do poetry. I'm a good writer. I can't sing a lick. I need voice training. But I still like to sing, like them people that sing off key in the car or in the shower and have fun. I do that all the time when I'm not being watched. Today I said screw being watched. I didn't care. So I just started singing along to it. I said, you're the highest of the high. I'm just dancing and having a good time, man. Just trying to pass the time. I noticed, I'm taking a drive, like I told y'all, trying to pass the time. I'm out in town or whatever. I took a spin in by this area called Lagoon, where they have a beach. And it's an area I used to park up at. And I'm just singing along to the song and I'm taking a spin around the area. I notice I come out from the lagoon, I see 2 police cars. I was like, what the heck? And they're driving in front of me. I'm like, oh boy. I'm just humoring you all. With the AI sending all the bullshit and the false narratives, I'm just singing along and acting stupid. I thought that would be obvious. So anyway, after that, I just continued to drive and I was dancing behind the police cars. I'm telling you, the police cars were in front of me. I was still dancing and singing. I was just trying to have a good time, man. Anyway, so after I got from behind them and I get back on the main road, it kept going. It kept sending false narratives. Then they start sending stuff about the dude. All kinds of stupid, dumb bullshit songs, right? Like they sent this song for this R&B group that I used to like back in the day called 702. And they sent a song called Stilo, where she sounded thirsty for real. But obviously in the video, you can see that it's not like thirsty situation per se. It's more so like someone she's dating and she's just saying you could swing it my way. It's a bit perverted actually. But they were getting real rowdy with the songs they were sending to me. So she was like, I like the way you move. You're my stilo. You can swing it this way. And whatever. Like, sound like one of them thirsty people, man. So I was just going, again, along with the bokaka. And so I started singing and going ham. I was just having fun and I'm playing around, right? Singing along to the song. There was even a song that said something about going on and on and on. And I started doing this face, like, kind of insinuating that it's like the thing doesn't end. It's like just on and on and on. But I was having a good time until they sent the song Fortunate for Maxwell. So when they sent the song Fortunate, I know the song, but I didn't think about what it would feel like listening to it while being stared at with the false narratives that they're constantly throwing at me, and also with my predicament as a target. So I was just excited. I'm like, okay, another song I'm going to dance to and act the fool. And then as the song starts playing and I'm listening to the lyrics, although I know the song, I'm hearing the lyrics again. It just started to make me feel depressed. Like, I was just like, oh my God, this is hitting. This one is actually really hitting the way they wanted it to hit. The other songs, I'm like, okay, funny. I'm just singing along, whatever. Just going along with the stupidness, right? Fortunate hit. You could tell it hit too, because I started feeling it, right? I'm like, oh my God, they're really trying to hit me. I'm like, they're really trying to get whatever hurt it is they're trying to get out of me. So, if you listen to the song Fortunate, you'll understand, right? As a target, why something like that would be depressing for you to listen to. So that one bothered me. None of the other songs, I was having a good time. I was just being a clown and going along with the bokaka. That song is where I kind of felt like, like I felt it like, there's just a reminder of my situation and how even just little minuscule, what I would call, what's the word I'm looking for? What's trivial? Stupid trivial things that they've held on to, like this thing with this trainer. Trivial things like that they're holding on to. So I'm just like, am I ever really gonna, are they gonna let me go? Like, am I ever gonna live a normal life? Like, this is scary for me. It's terrifying. Like I said, it's this indeterminate time and you don't know when they're gonna let you go. So I remember just feeling depressed when I heard the lyrics of that song. That one hit out of all the songs they sent. And so I can't even, I think, recall going back to my playlist after that. I was like, okay, they're starting to really try to get under my skin now. So anyway, after that happened, the day went on. I was just having fun throughout the day, and it wasn't too bad. I was just driving up and down. Eventually, I got in the gym. I was able to work out. I left. I went and I did my sprints, etc. After I did my sprints, I didn't feel like going home. Like I explained, this neighborhood is like, you have people that are here all day. It's a mixed demographic. You have elderly people here that are retired, and you have some folks here that are like middle-aged that, for whatever reason, they're not working. I'm not judging anybody that doesn't have a job. Different life circumstances happen or whatever the case is. Maybe you're comfortable. Maybe you have an arrangement with your folks and you don't have to work. Whatever it is, I don't care. I'm not judging it. But as a target, living in a neighborhood where majority of the neighborhood is there all day long, and a good chunk of them participate in the gang stalking, it's a nightmare. I'm used to being out and working and doing stuff. So it's already depressing enough that I'm here. I leave out to go to the gym, but I'm not going to be in the gym all day long. So after my activity, my physical activity for the day, I come back home. So now I have to deal with this. It's a nightmare. So oftentimes I feel the urge to drive. I like driving anyway. I've always liked driving and taking drives, even back in the day before my targeting. I just like driving. I like the feeling. I like the breeze. I like listening to music, etc. It's nowhere near as fun when you're targeted and everyone's staring at you 24/7. But it still feels better than being home sometimes. So I just started driving up and down and trying to pass the time. I was like, I don't feel like going home yet. And then eventually I did feel like going home. I got tired. I did a lot of physical exertion today. I did sprints. If you look up that workout, you'll see how intense that is. I did heavy deadlifting. I deadlifted, like I told you, on damn near 300 pounds. I deadlifted 290 pounds, etc. I was squatting. I did, all this kind of stuff, y'all. So I was tired. And after driving for a while, I was ready to go home. So I said, I'm going to cheat today. This is what I was telling you guys about in the beginning of the video, where I started going off on the tangent about intermittent fasting and your diet. I decided to have another cheat day today. I said, you know what? I don't feel like going home and preparing, because what's going on is I made barbecue chicken and I need to make rice and black beans to go with it. And as simple as that is to make, I haven't felt like doing it. So I keep halfway eating, like just eating the chicken, or I'm eating broccoli and chicken. I'm like, okay, I need a full meal. I still don't feel like making the rice and beans today. Let me cheat. Let me get a cheat meal. And low-key, I just feel greedy. I want to eat something greedy, right? So I start driving up and down trying to figure out what I can eat. As a target, I don't feel comfortable. You know, they already have this narrative that I don't trust or whatever, and that's supposedly largely why I'm being targeted, they claim. But it's gaslighting to a certain extent, because throughout the targeting, I've seen that certain people have major issues with me. Like, it varies. It depends on the person and the personality. I've come across some people who seem impartial or indifferent. Like, they don't care one way or the other. They know about the situation and they don't have any personal feelings invested. I've come across people who are extremely invested, and you would swear that I did something personally to them. They're so bothered by me. And then I've come across like the in-between, where it's like you kind of halfway participate with stuff, but you're not like totally like pitchfork. But it's like you're not an indifferent person either, where it's like I don't care either way. So I've experienced different personalities and different energies with the targeting, and I've come across some people who really have it in for me. So I think it's understandable me having a fear of eating out and not being able to see the food or what's taking place. I don't think that anybody would do anything to my food down here. It's just a different type of culture. But I don't know. I can't swear for anyone but myself. I've dealt with a lot of heinous, harsh gang stalking, and I feel paranoid. And I feel like it's gaslighting to dismiss that fear. That's not me having a trust issue. That's me dealing with targeting and feeling some sort of paranoia because of the treatment I've received from certain people. So I don't know who feels what. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm not comfortable at this point eating through a drive-thru. Even though I know there are cameras everywhere, and likely they have the cameras in the restaurant watching the people too. It's just like, I can't explain it, man. And this is another one of those things that was instilled in me from a very young age. My parents and my grandparents used to tell us about being rude to people that are handling your food. Be careful. You know, some people act like the quote unquote Karen or whatever it is, entitled, and they might go off on a restaurant person, and you might really get like a extra creamy sauce. You know, they might spit in your stuff. Like, it happens. But again, I don't think that would happen down here, but I don't know for sure. I can't swear for anyone. So, you know, that was instilled in me from young. Much less for the fact that I pissed off all these people, and some people have personal feelings invested and others don't. Like, I don't know who's who and who feels what. And it has me paranoid. So I don't want to buy anything to eat if I can't see it, or if it's not like displayed for me to see. Again, I'm not accusing anyone of doing anything. I'm just stating a real fear of mine from being targeted and from the treatment I've received from certain people. And I think it's understandable to feel that way. Anyway, so, y'all, I was driving up and down trying to figure out where to go, right? And today was a real sweaty type of day. Like I told you all, I did some heavy compound movements in the gym. Today was my leg day, and my leg days are intense. And then it was a deadlift leg day. On one of my leg days, I deadlift. And on one of my other leg days, I do leg curls. The deadlifting is intense, right? Heavy ass weight. Like I said, I'm pushing 290. So sweating and everything. And then I did the sprints in the hot sun. And then I was driving up and down in my Jeep, and my Jeep doesn't have AC right now. And I wear natural deodorant. I've talked about this in prior videos, y'all. I don't wear the deodorant that has the parabens or the aluminum, etc. Those things block up your lymph ducts and have been linked to breast cancer. So I don't wear those deodorants, but the drawback or the negative is that you are more susceptible to sweaty pits. And your pits can start smelling kind of frumpy if you've been working out all day and you're in the hot sun. Now, I've never really smelled strong armpit for myself. I've smelled like a natural aura coming from my armpits after a long day of working out. But it's never been to the point where it's like, damn, for ta. It's like, because I bathe so often. It's never that, but it's just like I have this extreme phobia of BO. And then with some of the tactics they've used in the targeting, pushing certain false narratives, the phobia is amplified now. So if it's been a long, sweaty, hot day, and I've worked out in the gym and did compound heavy-ass lifts, and then I did a bunch of sprints in the hot sun, and then I've been riding around in my Jeep all day long in the hot sun, of course I don't want to squeeze into any small space with anyone. The last thing I need is for them to validate the false narrative of me smelling bad. That's just one of the many false narratives they've purposely pushed as like a bullying tactic to make me feel accused. And I've talked about it in prior videos, y'all. It's just something they do. It's like obviously a fake narrative. And they don't always use it on me either. But anyways, the last thing I want, or my biggest fear, is to validate any false narrative. And so I'm just like, I started over explaining in my head. I know they're listening to my thoughts. And I kept passing by different stores. I wanted to stop at one of the gas stations and get ice. And then I wanted to stop at the pizza store and get pizza. That's all I wanted to do and go home. That's it. I didn't even feel like the greasy chicken today. I wanted pizza. Anyway, not to come for the chicken, right? I'm not coming for the fast food chicken. It's banging. It tastes banging. But after a full day of fasting, I already did this the other day. I went to one of the other fast food chicken places. I've eaten there several times. My stomach never turned eating the chicken. After doing a full day of fasting, similar to what I did today, and then trying to eat that chicken, oh my God, it had my stomach turning somersaults. I'm talking. Like, I felt horrible. So I really didn't feel like after a full day of fasting and driving around, eating chicken, greasy chicken, I didn't feel like that. I wanted pizza. So anyway, at one of the pizza stores, there's 2 pizza stores I like to go to, and it's the same chain. They just have 2 of the same chain on Island. One of the stores is typically more packed because it's mid-island. I don't want to say the wrong thing either, because the one down in town that I like to go to, it gets packed at certain times. I just don't go at those times. But this one that I'm talking about, that's mid-island, it's like always packed because it's mid-island and, you know, more of a convenient location. So that's the one I don't typically go to. I typically go all the way down. I'll put the gas in and drive all the way down to the other end of the island to go to the other one, because I don't feel like the packed up environment as a target. But even worse, now I'm sweaty and feeling insecure. I really didn't want to squeeze up into the what I call the main pizza joint. And it's main because it was the first one too. Anyway, so I went there though because I didn't want to drive all the way back down to the other end of the island. I pulled up and I looked in and I saw there was a lot of people as usual. So I said, there's no way I'm squeezing in there like that. I didn't think the thought, and I didn't let them know why I kept passing, gas stations and restaurants and not coming out. But I started realizing I was looking crazy. They're already observing you and watching you like a freak show and judging every move you're making. So sometimes you feel like you have to explain. It's crazy and horrible. You should never have to explain your moves to anyone. But sometimes you feel like you have to explain what's going on. So I remember going all the way down to the other end of the island to the pizza place that I normally go to. And coming out the car and, I look in. When I got in there, it was full of people. So I was like, okay, no. I was feeling sweaty and nasty. I said, nah. So I remember turning out and the owner said something to me and I had my music blasting so I didn't hear him good. So I said, yeah, I'm fine. How are you doing? And I hope he doesn't think I was slighting him or anything like that. I didn't hear what he said. I typically have my music turned up in my ears. So anyway, I got into my vehicle and I tried to go to the other pizza place. And I said, I might just park up and when it looks clear, I'll go in there. Because this is what I did last time the other day. I went to that main one and I waited till things looked kind of clear in there and then I went in there. But mind you, that day I wasn't sweaty, so I didn't mind slipping in there anyway. Anyway, so I pull up and I notice, it's looking packed still. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I start thinking in my head. I said the reason, because I noticed they're watching me and the birds keep flying by, the bird drones. That's another form of technology they use, y'all. That's why I keep saying the birds. They use insects and bird drones. There's a military video in the description box and comment section that talks about these drones, y'all. And you can look it up yourself. What you'll find online, though, when you look it up, are videos of these birds that don't look like as realistic as the birds they actually use. Unless you find the military video that I have linked in the description box and comment section that shows you an animation of how these things work and look. Sorry, I heard a noise in the background, y'all. Anyway, so nonetheless, I started explaining myself in my head like a dummy, knowing how the targeting works and knowing that they use your insecurities against you. And when you start explaining and thinking stuff, then they'll purposely use it as a tactic, my stupid ass. I sat there and started to explain why I'm driving up and down and passing all these different stores over and over again. I was like, the problem is I've been, the same thing I'm saying here in the video. I've been going all day. I was in the gym and, I was doing the heavy lifting and then I sprinted in the hot sun and then I was driving up and down in the hot Jeep and I don't like going around people sweaty like this and blah, blah, blah. I start explaining this in my brain, right? So then I pull up to the gas station, right? I finally build up the nerve. I pull up to one of the gas stations I typically like to go to. They know my gas stations, the ones I like to go to. And it's not that those gas stations don't get customers, because they do. And I notice more and more nowadays when I pull up, they have customers. And I'm not saying because I'm there, this sounds like, again, a Karen moment. Oh, because I'm there, you can't come. That's not what I'm saying. But again, sometimes gang stalking will take place because everyone's watching me. So that's just how that works. You know, it's like if you're on camera 24/7, you're susceptible to gang stalking. I know for me personally, I've said this already before. If I were like on the outside looking in and I saw a Target pull up to the gas station, I wasn't pulling up because I don't want to be on camera. Like I wouldn't pull up. But anyway, nonetheless, it depends. You know, maybe you were by some miracle not staring at me. It seems like everyone's staring at me 24/7. Like it's something they can't peel their eyes away from. But maybe it's somebody that's on the road that's genuinely not staring at me and they didn't know I was there. You know, it's possible. But anyway, so the gas station does typically have people, especially that one that I went to. So I pulled up, I was like, okay, it's just a few people. I saw like 2 cars. I was like, that's not too bad. You know, this is kind of a spaced out gas station. I feel like I could slide in and there's nice AC in there and stuff. I feel like I could slide in. Look, they put the cockroach there now. You see what they're doing? They have a cockroach drone there on one of the towels now. Speaking of drones, because I'm about to talk about the gang stalking shit they set up. Right? So, as soon as I pull up to one of the tanks and I see a little body zoom past the door. Right? So I was like, what was that? I said, I just saw somebody run across the door. I was like, what was that? So I remember pausing and just kind of looking in, trying to figure out what I saw. So I sat there and I waited to see before I went inside because I already knew I had the thought about, you know, why I'm driving around and stuff. And I heard the bird chirping, all kind of stupidness, not knowing, and I should have known, I've been targeted long enough that they would start setting up gang stalking stuff. I remember there was a day when I left the house and I was having my period. Not this time, not this recent time when I was on my cycle. The last time, before I left the house, I thought the thought in my head, oh my gosh, I said, y'all can see I'm on my period. I said, I know y'all like to set up little gang stalking stuff around the place sometimes. I said, please don't do that today. I said, I'm on my period, I'm not in the mood. The whole day was filled with gang stalking. Every location I went to was gang stalking. And then the last stop was, coincidentally enough, the pizza parlor. And in the pizza parlor, they had a little girl with cut blonde hair. And I'll explain the significance about that in a minute when I talk about that. Because that's something, remember, I said I want to talk about in this video. Something that's being used on me in the targeting because of something that took place with a co-worker of mine from my old job. Anyway, let me hurry up and get through this part of the video, y'all, so I could address that as well. So anyway, and I actually might finish this video tomorrow, y'all, because I washed my hair. I'm planning to put braids in on Sunday. And so I wanted to wash my hair today. I was feeling sweaty enough. It was just a sweaty, hot kind of day. That's why I didn't want to go around people. I need to my hair didn't dry up and mush down and all kind of craziness, y'all. I need to blow out my hair and moisturize it and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know if I'm going to finish the video tonight because I do want to address the other elephant in the room. This coworker that they keep, you know, using like her aesthetic as sensitization in my targeting. I want to talk about that too. So anyway, so I pulled to the gas station. I saw, like I said, a low body whiz past the door. So I was like, what did I just see? I was like, I know I just saw a little whirl of blue fly past the door. I was like, what is this? So I remember I said, let me just sit here and wait because I know I just was thinking in my head, why I keep driving around is because I don't feel comfortable going around people sweaty. Right? And so I know they knew I was coming to this gas station. So I sit there, right? And I just wait to see what's going to happen. And out comes this Rasta dude with his son. But he looked at my car jolly and pleasant. So if it was gang stalking, he didn't have a nasty expression, right? He just had this pleasant expression on his face. It was so good. He was so good at what he did if he was gang stalking that I couldn't even decipher whether or not that expression was gang stalking or a genuine just friendly glance, right? But everyone knows what's going on with me. And they've been setting stuff up, right? So I noticed that he walks out with his son. He did a pleasant glance in my vehicle, just this kind of nod, and then he just walked with his son to his vehicle. So I'm thinking to my head, I wonder if that's gang stalking. Because he happened to be red-brown. And remember, in one of these recent videos, I was talking about if I did have a type, y'all, which I don't discriminate. I don't care what color you are. I've dated every color. They were even trying to paint the false narrative that I like chocolate and dark skin because of what took place with this coworker I'm about to talk about in a minute. Look at the cockroach again. Anyway, I don't care about color. It's not chocolate. It's not light. It's not brown. I don't care. I don't discriminate. It's, am I attracted to you? Do we have a connection? That's what it is. I don't care about, that's so vain. But I did explain in one of my prior videos, if I did have a physical type or something that caught my eye immediately when it came to men, it would be typically like a red-brown man. And so I explained like somebody like my complexion, maybe a little bit more red. They keep getting the color wrong. I think it's hilarious. It doesn't matter, but they keep getting it wrong because they had two guys and they happened to be the same complexion, red-brown, and it wasn't the right, they got it right one time. Oddly enough, with this little boy that they started sticking on top of me in the gym. I talked about him in prior videos too. And when I say little boy, y'all, he looked like he's in his early 20s. But remember, I'm 33, making 34 in December. So that's a little boy to me. They got the color right that time. It's a difficult color, right? I can't even explain it, and it's weird. You know, it's this weird thing, and it's like, I wouldn't say a fetish. That's not the right word to use. But it's just something I've found myself attracted to with men. If I'm being vain, and if it's something that's going to catch my eye right away. They didn't get the color right. The two dudes they had at the gas station, that was not the correct color. Anyway, it doesn't matter, nonetheless, right? But so that dude walked out with his son. He did a pleasant look at me and went to his vehicle. I go into the gas station now. I'm don't see anybody. I'm like, okay, the coast is clear. I was like, whew. I'm walking up to the counter. I notice I see 3 drinks at the counter and what looked like a snack. So it was like 3 beers and what looked like a snack at the counter. So I look around immediately because I know the tactic. They've used it on me before. It's getting redundant. Like, you can't use the same tactics over. You think I'm stupid? You're going to keep using the same tactic? So anytime they're trying to push the funky narrative, the funky narrative, or make somebody do some gang stalking and make it like I stink, what they'll do is they'll purposely make the person go ahead of me before I get in the gas station. And they'll put a few items on the counter and then act like they ran to grab something, or like they're looking at something nearby. And then I come and I try to stay back because now at this point, the tactic's been used on me multiple times. And I'll say, hey, is somebody there? And so the attendant will say, no, just go ahead and come. And then when I come up and they start dealing with me, then the person will walk up on top of me right next to me to be by their stuff. Nobody operates like that in real life. You're taught personal space in kindergarten. So even if you did have items up there and somebody comes ahead of you because you walked off, typically you're going to stand back and wait for the person to get dealt with, and then you walk up. You're not going to just walk up on top of them because your stuff is on the counter. It's obvious gang stalking. We're all taught personal space in elementary school. So anyway, I've dealt with the tactics so many times before, y'all. They've done it to me before. Anytime they're trying to push the funky narrative, they do it. Every time. So at this point now, I know what's going to happen. So I remember I walked up and I saw the stuff. And I looked over and I saw another red-brown dude, same complexion as the dude that just left the gas station. And he's looking at pink body lotion. The body lotion that has the parfum in it, the fragrance. Remember, I was just thinking all those thoughts that I'm passing all of these spots because I don't want to go around people sweaty right now. All of a sudden, I pull up to the gas station. I finally find the nerve to come out. And 2 red-brown guys are there. One comes out with his son. And then I go in and the next one is standing nearby with his stuff at the counter, tactic. And he's standing nearby looking at fragrance body lotion. Y'all, let me blow my nose. I'll be right back. So anyway, y'all, I mean, there's nothing I really can do to stop the tactic other than just walk out. Whenever I see the bullshit, just turn around and walk out. But at that point, you know, I got basity because I had walked all the way up to the counter before I noticed what was happening. And so I looked and I said, is somebody here? And she said, oh, no, don't worry about it. Just come on. And he continued to look at the body lotion. So at that point, I knew what was going on. And I was like, oh, boy. But I had then just walked up, you know, and I got basity or flustered. And so I just went through with it. And I was like, there's no way he's going to still come and really push himself up next to me. There's no way they're going to really be this blatant with the gang stalking. Do you know as she's dealing with me, he really comes right next to me and like he going to stand next to me. And I think he was going to actually stand right next to me and do that tactic. But I started to shake my leg in this irritated way. Like, I really started shaking my leg in this real irritated way. And I noticed that tends to work. And I don't want to say that now because now it's not going to work. It's going to be ineffective. Now in the future, they're going to purposely ignore me and still do the gang stalking when I do that. But there's one other time where I believe they sent a gang stalker after me. And I was in a fast food restaurant again. KFC. Right? This was, I don't know how long ago. Maybe like a month ago or something. And I went in there. and I was getting food and stuff. And then this Rasta guy comes in and he's on his phone, and it sounded like he was about to do directed convo. So I did the same thing where I breathed hard and I started shaking my leg, and I noticed he kind of paused up and then he hung up the phone. So twice it's worked. Me acting really agitated, like I don't want to deal with this. But now that I'm seeing this and everybody's watching it, it will not work in the future. So what I have to do now is keep my eyes open, and if I see what looks like a gang stalking ploy about to take place, just bust a U-turn and get up out of there. So anyway, so he really actually went through with the obvious gang stalking tactic and came right next to me to put the lotion on the counter. So I started shaking my leg and breathing hard, and he put the lotion real quick and then he backed up behind me instead of staying right next to me. I could tell he would have stayed next to me and do gang stalking stuff if I hadn't started shaking my body and acting agitated. So anyway, the whole interaction though got me so freaking bassety that I didn't get the ice. The whole point of me going to that gas station, yes, I needed to put some more gas in my car because I had been driving up and down, but it wasn't so bad that I had to put the gas just then. I could have done more driving before I got the gas. I just said, well, I'm stopping here for ice, let me just get gas one time. I got so bassety that the whole reason I made the freaking uncomfortable stop in the first place evaded me. And I got gas, I got 2 malts for the house, malt that I would like to drink with ice and milk. I didn't get the ice. So I remember getting to the car and, I was about to pump the gas and I said, shit. I thought the thought in my head. I said, shit, I didn't get the ice. I said, I was so flustered with the stupid gang stalking crap. I was thinking this in my head because, at this point I didn't care. I was so flustered with the gang stalking bullshit. I didn't get the ice. And so I remember kind of just pumping my gas and keeping an eye out. And the whole gas station started getting packed with people. And that gas station sometimes gets packed, especially in the evening. Sometimes I pass right by it because it's packed. So that truly does happen. But again, I'm targeted. And everyone's watching me on camera. So some people that pull up are gang stalkers. Or they'll send people to do stuff. So anyways, I remember thinking, oh my God, I don't want to not get the ice. I don't want to have to stop somewhere else and deal with more gang stalking stuff. Because I already put 2 and 2 together that now that I thought the thought about being uncomfortable with being sweaty, they're going to purposely now deploy gang stalking tactics. So I said, now I'm here already. Let me just try to, pump my gas and go back in there and get the ice, right? So I don't have to make this stop again. So I remember pumping my gas and then going in there, and more people were in there now. It was like 2 or 3 people in the line. So I said, let me just, get behind them and see if I could quickly get my stuff. One of the people that looked like he was on the line, an older guy, right? Looked like he was maybe in his mid to late 50s, maybe mid 50s. He's standing there, and he's turned in this kind of way where he looks like he's on the line, but he's kind of halfway turned away from the line and facing this shelf that has snacks. But he looked like he was on the line. So he looked up and saw me, that I came back in there, and he said, go ahead. So the way he said, go ahead, I would have had to walk right past him in close proximity because he's standing there and then the shelf is there. So again, you could tell it was now somebody joining in with the gang stalking bullshit. So he said, go ahead. And he knows full what's going on. They all know what's going on. They're all hearing my thoughts. They're all watching this thing like it's a movie. And once they start deploying gang stalkers and stuff, it's a mess. So he's like, go ahead. And he go watch me down to my face. I said, never mind. And I just walked out the store. I wasn't about to fall for the okie doke twice. So I just walked up the store and I went to my vehicle and I said, you know what? Screw the ice. I'm not getting the ice today. Which sucks because right now I wish I had ice. But anyway, so I might even, no, I'm not. I was about to say I might even leave now and go get it. But I'm not leaving again. I don't feel like doing any more bullshit. And now that I made this video, they might do more gang stalking stuff out there. I'm not in the mood. And my hair needs to blow out and all kind of, stuff, y'all. I told you I washed my hair. Anyway, so let me try to hurry up and wrap the video up. So anyway, after I dealt with that, now in my head, I'm like, oh my God, the fast food places are, are usually or typically way more packed and there's less space. So I'm already having this phobia of BO because I've been going all day. And now I see that they're deploying gang stalking tactics because of the stupid thoughts that my dumb ass thought a little while ago. So I was like, oh boy, maybe this is all a sign that I should just go home and eat the food in my house. This is what I'm thinking in my head. But I so badly wanted the junk food. So bad. I kept driving up and down and hopping between the fast food places trying to find someplace I would feel comfortable coming out. And eventually I said, you know what, let me try one of the chicken joints, Church's Chicken or whatever. They have a new one here on the island. So I pull up. I'm thinking the whole ride that this is where I'm going. So they knew I was going there, right? They always know where I'm going next. I've seen other gang stalkers talk about this too. They read your thoughts. That's why, like I told you all the other, maybe like maybe at this point now, that was probably like 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half ago. That day when they were doing the gang stalking stuff, and then that last stop was the pizza place, and I went in there and there was the girl, the little girl with the blonde hair. They always know where I'm going next. And no matter how much I try to like stop the thought, like I try to think where I want to go and I try to block it out. And sometimes I even think about multiple stops so they don't know which one I'm going to pick. It still doesn't work. They always know. It's a nightmare, y'all. So I remember pulling up to churches and I see this familiar looking person. It didn't look too packed in there. It was like 3 people in there. But I noticed this one person looking familiar. I was like, wait a minute, isn't that one of the dudes from the gym? So I remember taking off my shades and just sitting there parked up and staring. And then as I pull into the park, he walks out the store. And he's parked to the side where I typically park whenever I go there. I'm like, that is one of the dudes from the gym. I'm like, they're really full throttle gang stalking me. And again, it's tying back to this thing with the gang stalking in the gym. It's going outside of the gym. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I think I have to make a video about this. And also, too, while I was on the line, I was at the stoplight. I was watching this video on my phone. Because after dealing with the gang stalking bullshit in the gas station and wherever else, I started looking up videos about how to evade the FBI. Because, as a target, it's a government program. And, high intel is involved. You have CIA, FBI. It just depends on how high level your targeting is. Typically, all those people get involved anyways, even if it's not even something major. It's just weird how it works. But I got so damn annoyed with what took place in the gas station and just tired of not being able to just freely move around and live my life. I remember typing into the search how to evade the FBI. And of course, with the shadow network technology, they started sending all these horrible videos about these horrible ass, criminal type people. And it doesn't matter if you're a criminal. I'm not judging you, right? Everybody makes mistakes. Shit, you could be broken, homeless, and hungry, and you couldn't figure out how to feed your kids, and you ran into the store to get a can of tuna and you got caught, and you would be called a criminal. So I'm not judging you. I don't know what your life is or what your story is. I'm saying the technical term. They were sending these horrible criminal type people. And when I say criminal type, that doesn't mean you're horrible if you're a criminal. But these people were horrible. They sent me this man that apparently was terrorizing. I think they said he was, I forgot what they said he was terrorizing. And then he ended up, I don't want to say what they said he did. Kidnapping this 14-year-old and doing, crazy, horrible stuff. All I simply typed in the search was how to evade the FBI. They started sending horrible stuff. So I said, you know what? This doesn't make sense doing this. They're going to start shadow networking, and it's already a day full of gang stalking. So right as I was about to come out of the search, or the page that popped up from the search, from what I typed into the search, I saw this video that said, mobster or gangster evades the FBI for years. So I clicked in and I said, well, how the hell did he do that? If he was a mobster or gangster and really getting involved in some serious stuff, and he evaded them for years and I haven't even done anything, and I'm lock up. I was like, how he do it? So I remember clicking on the video. Of course, it wasn't what I thought. It was more gang stalking and, painting false narratives. But in the video, they were saying something about how, they had found these shadow network, y'all, because they like to use the word Italian on me. If you've listened to the targeting, you'll know why. This has to do with the gym, right? The gym situation. The main trainer guy that I'm having the tiff with that caused all the gang stalking in the gym is not Italian. But it stemmed from this thing that was happening with this Italian trainer. So anyway, they said basically that they had found these Italian gang leaders or mobsters that were the ringleaders of some big, serious, it seems like, drug rings or something like that. I don't remember exactly what the video was saying. And they said although they couldn't prove that they were guilty of a crime, they still were able to do whatever. Basically chase them down, I guess, track them down, whatever. As that part of the video is playing, they dive the fly down into the hood, into my windshield. So I'm like, what the heck? So that's why I really just started getting annoyed and fed up. I was like, I need to come home and make a video about this. This is just too much. And it's not even about me committing a crime. It's not what it's about. It's about revenge because what? You don't like me as a person? I offended you, or I had a reaction to something that was going on? It's not about anything that they're making it about. Anyway, y'all, I'm going to finish the video tomorrow. I really need to wrap it up. It's already too long from what I saw. It's longer than I want it to be, but there's one more thing I want to talk about, speaking of crime, right, and advocate for myself again. The same thing I said I was going to talk about a little while ago, this narrative with this coworker of mine, or former coworker of mine, and how that's now a main staple in the targeting as well, and a main form of sensitization in the targeting as well. But that doesn't get as nasty as the gym thing and the revenge thing that were trying to bite my ass and make me feel hurt and all this. It's all stemming back to the men. It's not even really too much about this girl here, right? So I don't feel too slighted about the situation. It's just that they're also using that incessantly on me, and I would like that to stop as well. And I've already advocated for myself about that specific element of the targeting that's now, like a main staple in the targeting. I was just on Facebook, y'all, and I, was following the college for the Virgin Islands. One of my friends on Facebook, this guy that plays basketball, he had sent an invite. He probably sent it to all his friends. You can do that, like send out invites to all your friends. I don't know, whatever. I just saw the invite to follow the UVI page. So I remember clicking on it and realizing they were playing basketball, so I thought that was cool, and I liked the page. So I follow it. So I get highlights sometimes in my news feed. So I've been following it for a couple months now. I just happened to go on, and it could have been shadow networking. I don't know. They know how to make it look like certain things are happening that's not happening with the technology. But I did notice in person on island, a lot of the females now have the same hairstyle as this former coworker of mine. A lot of them. I'm seeing it everywhere. Anyways, I noticed one of the girls playing basketball, and I noticed I was seeing, like, from the outside of the story, how you can see the thumbnail for the story when people put a story on Facebook. The person looked like they had blonde hair. So I said, no way. I was like, this is a local team. And the person, so I click on the video. The girl have the same exact hairstyle as the girl I used to work with. I'm like, how is this everywhere now all of a sudden? I'm not trying to come for people, because I know there are people that authentically, she doesn't own that hairstyle. I know she's not the only person on the island that's ever had that hairstyle. I know prior to her being in my targeting, there were other people on the island that had the hairstyle. But it is literally becoming a style now. I'm seeing it everywhere. Almost as bad as the yellow thing. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about that. But not right now, y'all. I'm tired. My voice is going hoarse. I'm going to finish the video tomorrow. I'll talk to y'all. Be back, y'all. All right, y'all. I'm finally here to finish the video. It's not going to be too long of a video, y'all. Or too long of a ladder section. I just want to quickly clear up the thing with, whatever happened with my former coworker, so that they can stop sending that false narrative to me, or sensitization, etc. Y'all, just similar to how the gym situation is becoming redundant, is how this situation with this coworker is becoming redundant, because they keep sending the sensitization and making a bigger deal about the situation than what it really is. So a few months ago, when I was still working at the job, maybe like 5 months ago or something like that, y'all, I had made some videos talking about this weird dream that happened with this coworker of mine. I don't know what happened. It felt technological. Listen, since I've become a target, I've had some vivid dreams. Like, I haven't had dreams like this ever in my life. Of course, there have been times in life prior to the targeting where I've had a vivid dream or two. Most people have. But the amount of vivid dreams that I've started having since not becoming targeted, but since being implanted with the radio frequency identifier, which is an acronym for RFID chip, and since, them using the technology on me, if you listen to my story, you'll hear me say that although the targeting started in 2020, I didn't learn I was a target until the end of 2022. So I tried to relocate off island summer of 2022. I didn't know I was a target. I just thought, something spiteful was happening because of the text message that I sent in 2020. Tried to talk to the people in my close circle about it multiple times, and they kept saying bullshit and this and that, and, sensitizing words that had become sensitization. If you listen to my story, you'll hear that bullshit is a word that they used to sensitize me. It ties back to the cyberstalking, cyberbullying guy. Again, another situation that you'll learn about if you listen to my full story. So anyways, they were not acknowledging what's going on. And so to me, I was like, okay, well, I can't live like this. So I tried to relocate summer of 2022. If you listen to the story, you'll hear that I went to the United States. The targeting blew up because the thing followed me and I realized it followed me. I had some horrible reactions. Eventually, before coming back to Ireland, I sat in my car in Florida and shared offensive content, Hebrew Israelite propaganda, etc. And came back to the island. I tried to relocate did research, and that was when I learned I was a target. And that was also around the time when they started using the technology, at least to my knowledge. It might have been being used on me before then, God knows. But to my knowledge, that was when they started using the technology on my body. They had been using the insect drones to surveil me for years. But as far as implanting me in brain to computer interface and those higher science components of the targeting, that didn't start until I got back on island. To my knowledge, the end of 2022 or the beginning of 2023 is when I believe that started. So anyways, after that, and again, y'all, check out the links in the description box and comment section. There are patents for the technology. Check out those links, y'all. I share pertinent info in the description box and comment section. They have patents, government patents for the technology. You have one of the progenitors of the technology, Robert Duncan, confirming that the targeted individual program is real and that they are using this technology on civilians. There's a video about Robert Duncan in the description box and comment section as well. It's titled Harvard DARPA Scientist, something Harvard DARPA Scientist, and I can't remember what the rest of it says, but look for that title and check out that video. That is an informational video by Robert Duncan, okay, a reputable source, one of the scientists and doctors and progenitors of the tech. He works for DARPA. He talks about the agenda behind targeting, etc. Some stuff that I found out from years and years of being targeted and doing research, y'all. So check out those links and learn about the technology they use on targets and some of the things that exist right here in the world. It's worldwide, y'all. Anyway, so nonetheless, they started using the technology. I started having these vivid dreams. It's been happening off and on for the last 3 years. Since, like I said, the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. Just been having some vivid, strange dreams, y'all. So anyway, the activity that they've seen in my brain, and I keep saying this as the main point or my main piece of evidence to prove that whatever activity they've seen with this coworker isn't relevant to the situation. Anyway, so they've been in my brain for years, and what they were seeing was activity with men. I'm straight, y'all. I'm a tomboy. I always have been. It's not the type of tomboy that dresses like a dude and goes out there and wearing baggy pants and, emulating how a man dresses or moves. Not coming for anyone that lives that way. If that's how you dress or that's how you want to move, it's your prerogative. It's a free country. You have a right to do what you want to do, right? I'm just trying to talk about me and how I am and the false narrative that they're trying to perpetuate. So I've always been a tomboy, but I like to dress girly, right? When I got in high school and I started liking boys was when I realized that I wanted to dress like a girl, because I'm not going to lie, in elementary school and stuff, I was more of the tomboy type. I wanted my mom to buy me like pants and like throwback jerseys, and because I was playing basketball and I was hanging out with the boys and stuff. And I always found boys to be more entertaining. I'm not talking about sexually. When I got older, obviously I got interested in men in that way, but I'm talking about when I was younger. I just thought what boys did were more fun. Like, I don't want to play with dolls. I don't want to play dress up. I don't want to do hair. I want to play video games. I want to play basketball. I want to play sports. I've always been into athletics and physical activity. And I just found the things that boys did to be more fun. So I always hung out with the boys when I was younger. And then when I got into high school and I started liking boys, that was when I started caring about my appearance and, trying to do my hair and my nails and, dress like a girl and stuff like that. So I do like men, long story short. And that's been my history. I don't have a history of liking females. I've never had a crush on a female before. I've never dated a female. I've never had any sexual interaction with a female, which again, if that's your lifestyle, that's your prerogative. I'm not judging you. This is about Sharifa and the false narrative that's spinning. Things happen in life. You might have like this random occasion where something out of the ordinary happens or something unusual happens that's not typical for you or the lifestyle you live. That doesn't classify you as whatever said situation is taking place. Y'all, let me, they've been acting up all morning in this neighborhood as usual. Let me let the stupid dumb crap in the background stop, and then I'll come back and finish the video. Anyways, y'all, finishing up. So, like I was saying, y'all, sorry I had to get my bearings together. So whatever took place, long story short, y'all, with this coworker, it was out of the ordinary for me. I've honestly and openly and transparently said, I didn't have to say this, to tell you I'm an honest person. There was one other time in my life where I found myself having an attraction to a female. And this was over a decade ago when I was in my early 20s. It was actually when I was in rehab that I met this female. And she wasn't from here. And she had family from here, but she had kind of similar to my mom, like grown up in the States, from what I remember her saying. And she was mulatto. She was half white, half black. And she was a model. So I found her to be attractive. She was very pretty. She was one of the prettiest girls I had ever seen. And that was the first time I actually found myself like even feeling any type of remote anything. I'm like, huh? Because I'm like, I know I like men, right? But she was just really attractive. And I found myself attracted to her. And it wasn't an attraction where I'm trying to get with you. I'm trying to holler at you. I'm trying to talk to you. We're going to do stuff. Like, I like men. I want to get married. And I would like to have children. And that's always been my dream and my goal and what I want for myself. I want children. And I want to be married, etc., etc. I want to live a normal life. Like the picket white fence and all that stuff. Like, I want to live a normal life. Not to say no, that came out wrong. Not to say that if you're gay, that's not a normal life. I'm not, I just have this, it's just terrible when the spotlight is on you like this and you're trying to defend yourself constantly. You end up sometimes saying things that are offensive that you don't mean to be offensive. I'm not saying if you're living a gay lifestyle that you can't live a normal life. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just now talking about my situation as a target and what I've always wanted for myself. I've always wanted to just live a regular life, cookie cutter life, the white picket fence, the husband, the children, working a 9-to-5, a decent job, a career that I like that's all I want for myself. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so yeah, females that are woefully bisexual that dabble with men and female and that have been doing it for years and there's no spotlight on them and cameras up the bum and all this kind of craziness like that. That's not even been my lifestyle. It's not like I've lived, and even again, let me repeat this. Even if that is your lifestyle, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, why am I getting this harsh judgment for one activity, one piece of activity they saw in my brain after 3 years of monitoring my thoughts? Remember, y'all, they've been, to my knowledge, like I said, in my brain since the beginning of 2023 or the end of 2022. They've been monitoring my thoughts since then. When I didn't know they were in there, I've said this in multiple videos, they tried to humiliate me, and they used the shadow networking AI software to play against me on the pool game with an avatar that had the same name as the dude I was daydreaming about. And that's how I realized that they were monitoring my thoughts. I was like, wait a minute. I said, wait, this is a unique name. It's not like the most unique name in the world, because that's some other bullying dumb crap they started doing because I said it was a unique Hispanic name when I made the video about it 3 years ago. Now, to be stupid, on the pool game, oftentimes they'll play against me with these extremely rare Hispanic names to be funny. Yeah, that's one of the many stupid tactics they use on me now because of the video I made when I first discovered that they were monitoring my thoughts. And they played against me on the pool game with the dude's name that I was daydreaming about. So, I mean, you were in my brain when I didn't know you were there, and you saw what you saw, and you saw men. And then 3 years later now, 3 long years later, I start this job, And this, random whatever activity in my brain with this person, with this coworker, she's a female. She's married, y'all. She's married with children. I mean, how much more clear could it be that I'm not gay? If I were gay, and you can tell this is unintentional too, if I were gay, then I would intentionally go after a female that's available. Why the hell would I go after a female that's married with children? Does that make sense? So that's to tell you it's some unintentional, subconscious thing that's taken place. I mean, maybe there is some sort of attraction there genuinely, because like I said, prior to my targeting, I'm not a liar. About a decade ago, I did have a genuine attraction to a female that was in rehab with me. I never acted on it. I never hit on her. I never added her on Facebook. I never searched her up. None of those things. But here now, a decade later, this thing is happening here with this female, where it's, this dream happened, vivid ass dream. And they found out about it too. It was so embarrassing the day I was at the job when I realized they had seen the thing, because I was at lunch. That was before I had my car. So I used to sit outside in the parking lot for lunch to eat my lunch. And I'm just scrolling through my newsfeed on YouTube. And then I see this, and then they're still sending stuff like this to tease me sometimes. I see this clip with this lady and this leopard. And they know I like animals, so I'm always clicking on videos when I see animals. They knew I would click on it. Predictive. So I clicked on the video. And in the video, the lady ends up grabbing like the bottom of the leopard's face, and so I made this face because I was like, oh my God, this is just like what happened in my dream, where in the dream, like the girl was like drunk or whatever was happening. And her husband was there too, by the way. He was like, it was one of those things where, someone is in a dream or their presence is there, but you're not seeing them. It was that type of thing like that, where her husband was supposed to be there. Like there was the knowledge in my brain that he was there, but he wasn't like physically present. I couldn't see the man. And she was in the kitchen there, looking drunk or whatever. And so I remember telling her to be careful. I remembered warning her and saying to be careful. And then I remembered grabbing water and grabbing her face and feeding her the water. And so, it was a weird dream, and I thought about it after too. And I didn't say anything about it, but I'm not thinking, that they're monitoring my thoughts so closely that they're going to, immediately grab onto this and send it to me. So I remember I'm there at lunch, at the job, and I see the video where the lion grabs the bottom of, not the lion, the person grabs the bottom of the leopard's face. I said, wait a minute, this is looking like my dream. And so what the heck is going on? And then I remember I went into the facility and everybody was acting this kind of way. Like I could tell they saw, I'm being watched 24/7. That's how it works when you're targeted. So I could tell that they saw my reaction to seeing that video that emulated my dream. So this is when I realized, oh my God, they've seen the dream. I made a video about it, like I said, months ago. I try not to talk about the facility, and I just got hours there doing security and stuff, so things look better. So I'm not trying to now, sit here stupidly and make videos, but I had already started making this video before they sent me the schedule, and I said I wanted to clear this specific situation up so they can stop sending the sensitization. Similar to how I'm trying to clear up the thing with the dude from the gym. It's all getting repetitive and redundant, and they're sending, it's just ridiculous. So anyways, y'all, after that though, it was just like this thing in there where they knew whatever they knew about the thing. And then I started to overthink my interactions with her. Like every time we would have an interaction, I replay it in my head. And I've always been that way. They've been reading my thoughts for years. I know they know I do this. I have OCD and I have ADD and I have Asperger's. And one of the main components or characteristics of Asperger's and ADD is like this obsessive compulsive disorder where you start to obsess over things and you overthink things. And so that's just how my brain has always been. In fact, they used to tease me about it, my siblings and stuff, but now it's this specific situation and it's like they tried to run with it. And I was just like rethinking and replaying our interactions and overthinking it. And anyway, it just turned into this weird thing. Whatever it is. And they just created stuff with the technology. It's just a hot mess. I've never been through anything like that in my life, specifically what a female of all things do. I like men. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just turning into this thing with the targeting. I'm even noticing on Island, similar to how I see people wearing yellow and that becoming a thing, I'm noticing so many females, young and older, with the cut blonde hair. It's like a fad down here now. Right? She has cut blonde hair, y'all. I've talked about this in prior videos. I've seen the hairstyle before. It's not like she's the only one on Island right? That had it before whatever happened between she and I. It's not like she had a patent for the haircut. But now I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing so many females with the freaking haircut. It's like these freaking things that are attached to the targeting that go viral and blow up all over the island. It's just crazy. It's just, I've never experienced anything like this in my life. It's just wild to me. Anyway, y'all, so I'm just here to say that I respect her marriage. I'm not trying to get next to her. Even if she were single and I weren't targeted, excuse me, and I had authentically had these feelings or thoughts or whatever it is or was, I wouldn't act on it. I'm not gay, and that's not typical for me. I like men, and I want to get married, and I want to have children. And all throughout the targeting, they've seen thoughts of men too. They just don't hone in on it. The only thing that they've honed in on was that initial thing with that Spanish guy where they looked at them flying to fly. They know. Was that initial thing with the Spanish guy where they played against me on the pool game with his name. Other than that, the thoughts I've had about men, they don't really care. They don't hone in on it. They don't send me stuff about it. They don't care. They just honed in on that one little tidbit of whatever activity they saw in my brain with this one person because she's female. 3 years later. 3 years of content and all you saw was this one thing and you trying to run with it. It's just ridiculous, man. Anyway, so I just wanted to clear that up and let them stop with the bokaka. And another thing too that they're kind of running with is the fact that these days I've been dressing more tomboyish. Again, not like a quote unquote dyke where I'm wearing like baggy clothes and like men clothes and stuff. I used to dress like a female right before I relocated off island, y'all. I can go to my Facebook right now and show you. I had dresses, heels, my nails were done. Sometimes I would wear lipstick. I don't really wear makeup like that, but I've always done my eyebrows and put on like lip liner and lip gloss or lipstick. I was doing the most before I left island. I was flat ironing my hair. I was doing my nails. I was wearing dresses, heels. I was teaching. I gave all that stuff away when I tried to relocate off island and the targeting blew up. And it was almost like I was on the run. In my rental, I stopped in Tennessee at Goodwill and I gave all my shit away because it was too hard toting all that heavy stuff. I had like 2 big, huge suitcases full of clothes. I regret it now, but I gave all that stuff away. So mainly what I have is workout gear. So this is what's making them say I'm dressing like a dude because I'm wearing tights, leggings, a vest, and then I put a do-rag on. I put my hair in like 2 ponytails because I'm trying to let my hair grow. Low manipulation. I'm not working during the daytime, so it's not like I need to do my hair up or whatever. I'm not trying to look cute for anyone. I'm targeted. So I put my hair in 2 ponytails and I put the do-rag on. And this is what's making them, try to insinuate this dyke persona. But they know they're not getting it right. Because even with the technology, at first they were trying to send like this dyke persona. Then they started sending more like the tomboy female that has like a tomboyish style, like a Leah. I was like, okay, now they're kind of getting it right. Now you're getting it. But anyway, even still, that's not typical either. Like, I do dress like that sometimes, but mostly, I wear dresses, heels, and that type of stuff when my life is normal. But anyway, this is what I dress like nowadays, y'all. This is what it is. Like this. It's unisex. It's androgynous. To me, this outfit I would consider to be unisex or androgynous. It's not necessarily classified as male or female. This is unisex. It's androgyny. And then
y'all, welcome back to my channel.
Another example, y'all. Another example would be here. I mean, this looks a little bit more tomboyish. That's because that's my work pants, y'all. All of my workout pants were dirty that day, so I threw on my work pants. So that looks kind of more like tomboyish. The pants is a little baggy. I don't typically wear that pants.
Looking at me, I'm ready to go in. You in.
I like this one.
Retro J, you so crazy. Retro J, you so crazy.
See you. Looking at me.
Anyway, y'all don't need to see the whole squat, right? And then here's another outfit. This is more so like what I wear. Like this and the first clip I showed you. This is more so how I dress. I look like a female, y'all. That's a t-shirt and tights. Okay? Come on. I look like a female, y'all. Come on. I mean, you might, if somebody were to tell you, hey, she swings both ways, like, you might believe it. I'm muscular and I'm dressed in athletic gear, but I'm not dressed like a dude. Okay, so y'all see, you know, if y'all want to check out those videos, by the way, you can. It's on my page. I posted it 3 months ago. It's workout videos. You can go over to my Facebook and show you what I typically dress like when my life is normal and I'm not targeted and going through drama and stress and this and that. I can show you. That was for my 30th birthday, right? That was in 2022, as y'all can see. Just 3 years ago. That was right before I relocated off island, actually. In fact, I didn't post that then. I didn't make 30 in 2022. I believe I made 30 in 2020, right? Yeah, it's 2021. I made 30 in 2021. So this was a throwback and I posted it again in 2022. But this is from 2021, December of 2021. My nails were done. I was wearing pearls and lipstick. This is how I typically dress. Lipstick, eyebrows, and I don't wear makeup like that. You can even see the blemishes on my skin. My skin looked a lot better back then. I'm under a lot of stress and a lot's going on. They tease me about how my skin's looking now. I'm going through a lot. My hair's not growing. I mean, it's finally growing back now. It's taken long to grow. It's taken longer than it's ever taken in my life to grow. It's all stress. Anyway, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, y'all. I'm just, when I look at old pictures of myself, it's just a reminder, you know? Anyway, so yeah, this was me. I used to dress like a female. A dress, nails done. Okay? This is recent. This is another one of the workout outfits that I was wearing. I didn't wear that to the gym. I never dressed like that to the gym. That was when I was working out in the house. But y'all can see that I dress like a female. Okay. Anyway, y'all, it's not a big deal. Even if I wanted to dress like a straight up dude and date females, I could do it because it's my prerogative. It doesn't match up or line up with any false narrative. It doesn't matter. It's not relative. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyway, so they could throw that whole scenario to the wayside now, okay? Let's move past it because I'm sure it's awkward for her in her situation. It's awkward for me. It's making me uncomfortable. Please stop sending the sensitization about that situation. And definitely, please stop sending the thing about the thing with the dude in the gym. That is way, way done now. Please. Okay? All right. So that's all I wanted to talk about, y'all. I like men. I want to get married and have children eventually. I would like to get out to targeting and live a relatively normal life. As normal as possible after all the trauma I have been through. That's all I'm saying. Okay. All right, y'all. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Y'all, just 2 things I want to add real quick. The first thing is back towards the beginning of the video, the part where I was talking about intermittent fasting. This is so irrelevant. It doesn't even matter, but just in case anyone listens to my videos and takes advice, you know, like I said, you might want to try intermittent fasting. I was saying that I drink on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays before my gym sessions. I drink a cup of black unsweetened coffee with a teaspoon of moringa powder in it. I just thought about it. I don't know why I didn't think about this before. That's the whole reason I do the moringa. It's full of nutrients. It has a bunch of minerals and nutrients that you need in it, but also it's another protein source. It provides nutrients in that way where it helps with starvation in Africa. So I totally forgot that I knew that. And recently, because I was watching this other guy that does the OMAD, 1 meal a day diet, I'm not doing 1 meal a day. I'm eating 2 meals a day, and a protein shake, a peanut butter shake that I make. But I am eating, like I told you guys, in a 4-hour period, a 4-hour eating window, and then 20 hours of fasting. So my diet is similar to the OMAD, the 1 meal a day diet. Anyway, this guy I followed that does OMAD, he was talking about the fact that he fasts all day and then he has 1 meal at night. But before his workouts, because he's doing a fasted workout like I am, he drinks a cup of black coffee like I do. But he was saying he puts green powder in it. And so I emulated, you know, what he was doing, and I decided to put my moringa powder in there. I thought that was a good idea. But just now, as I was listening back to the video, it's like I had an epiphany, and I realized, duh, you might be breaking your fast, because that is protein. Even if it's a small, minuscule amount, it's 1 gram of protein, actually. That is enough to possibly break the fast. The body will remain in ketosis, because there's no sugar there. So I will still be running on ketones and I will still be healing my body and getting some sort of healing effect from it. But it might just break the fast and break my cycle of autophagy. I'm not certain. It would have to be something I looked into, but it's not a good idea. So I'm not I just realized I'm not going to be doing that anymore. I'm not going to be putting the moringa powder in the coffee anymore. So if you were listening and you're one of those people that's interested in health or getting into intermittent fasting or working out fasted, and you heard me say that, I want to make it clear that that's not something I'm going to be doing anymore. I went through and changed my whole routine after I listened to the video and had the epiphany. Okay, so that's what I wanted to add. And then one other thing, going back to what I was saying about this coworker, I realized I didn't expound, and I'm not going to expound too much. This is going to be like 2 minutes of talking. I didn't expound on what I meant when I said some of it might be genuine, but I believe a lot of it is technological. I'm talking about MK Ultra, y'all. You know how they're constantly with the technology, the shadow networking AI software, sending sensitization all day long, and they've been doing this for years now, on top of the fact that I'm actually microchip too. So these things actually program the brain. It's called MK Ultra. Look into it. I've seen other targets talk about this as well. But like if you're sitting, for instance, in a movie theater, that's why they use ads. Ad is a derivative. Ads or advertisements that flash on the screen, that's a derivative of the MK Ultra programming. That whole thing that they did with MK Ultra back in the 60s, advertisements came from that. It's a derivative of. And what happens is if you're in a movie theater and you're watching the movies, they have the snacks out there. This is how they make money. It's not just you buying the tickets. It's the snacks. They make money off of the snacks that you buy, the drinks, etc. You might not want a snack. You might go in there and not necessarily feel in the mood for a snack. And then you sit down in the movie theater and you're sitting there and you're watching a movie, and then on the screen flashes an ad that's, has Coke in it, like a Coca-Cola ad, a 30-second ad. You know how they have those ads at the beginning of the movie? And so while you're watching it, in your head, the thought Coke might pop in your head. You might think, damn, I think I want a Coke. And you don't even realize you just got programmed in those 30 seconds that the ad flashed on the screen. So it's the same concept with targeting and with them pushing certain narratives to program the brain, even if it's just to antagonize me or whatever the case is. Pushing these narratives constantly and me seeing this day after day after day after day after day, that too could lead to programming. So that's what I meant when I said I believe it's technological. And then also too, they can actually send you dreams with the technology. I don't know if they sent that dream or what the case was with that. I'm not going to be accusatory. I have no idea. I have been sent dreams before by them though. I definitely have. In that instance, I don't know. So I don't want to be accusatory. But that's what I mean when I say technological. I believe maybe that this random, what would seem like not switch in sexuality, because I definitely still like men. It's not a switch in sexuality, but this switch where I find myself having this like attraction randomly to this person, it could have everything to do with programming, and I strongly believe that it does. And that's what I meant. And so that's why I said I'm sure some of it might be genuine because she is an attractive person. But a lot of it, I believe, is programming. I've seen attractive females my whole life. I've been friends with attractive females. My best friend that was they were trying to create a false narrative about her too when I was making my videos. And she and I used to go and check dudes together. My friend that was friends with me in my early 20s, this girl I met when I was living in Tallahassee, she was half Mexican, half black. She was beautiful. I wasn't attracted to her at all. At all. I've been around attractive females my whole life. So it just, like I keep saying, this random thing. And so I strongly believe a lot of it is technological. Programming. It's a real thing, y'all. Look into MK Ultra. Anyway, so that's what I meant. I wanted to expound on that. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.